So, the story begins with the female lead, Lou, who narrates, "Today is my first day of high school. I'm from France and I want to avoid a certain boy. He's my older brother and also my childhood friend." Lou was heading to school, while avoiding him by taking a shortcut through the building. Meanwhile, our male lead was walking along the path below the building, keeping an eye on her. Lou jumped from the terrace, narrating that ever since childhood, she had been labeled as his sister. They ate together, went to school together, and everyone saw his talent while ignoring her. But now, in high school, she was determined to change things. She wanted to avoid him in high school so that people would recognize her for her own name and achievement, not just as his sister. Zhang saw her jumping from the building, but silently continued on his way. Lou, meanwhile, was taking a different route to avoid encountering him, since the road was the same. To get to the school bus stop, she needed to climb down a wall. She had already prepared for this by placing some bricks below so she could step down using them. However, some children came and took all the bricks away. As a result, Lou was left hanging from the wall. Fear made her lose her grip, and she was about to fall when our hero appeared and caught her. He then asked, "Were you trying to avoid me?" Lou quickly denied it, saying she was just practicing rock climbing. However, he saw through her lie. She tried to shake off his suspicion, but when he let go of her hand, she almost fell again. Instinctively, she clung to him. After he helped her down, she admitted, "I want to create my own identity in high school. I don't want people to recognize me as your sister, so please avoid me at school." Zhang immediately agreed and walked away towards school. As he was leaving, we saw his grandfather, who was an alcoholic and a gambler. This had strained their relationship. Meanwhile, Lou spotted the children who had stolen her bricks. To get back at them, she kicked the bricks they had used to make a goalpost and ran away with one of them. That night, she took the brick with her while heading to school by bus. Everyone on the bus looked at her strangely. Zhang was also on the bus. He told her to throw the brick away, but since the bus was moving, she decided to keep it in her bag. Then she took out a camera and started clicking pictures of him, saying, "You're actually quite handsome. Since you have free time, I'll take some good pictures of you today." Soon, the seat next to Lou became empty, and she invited him to sit. He hesitated a little, but Lou eventually fell asleep. Zhang gently moved her head toward the window. She looked so funny while sleeping that he couldn't resist taking a picture of her. To prevent her from waking up suddenly, he placed her head on his shoulder. Later, they arrived at school. As soon as they got off the bus, Lou told him to wait 30 seconds before entering so they could pretend they didn't know each other. Before parting, Zhang secretly attached the picture of her sleeping onto her dress and wished her good luck. Lou confidently walked into her class, but soon, everyone started laughing at her. A boy named Gogo teased her about the picture. Lou angrily pulled the picture off, furious at Zhang. In frustration, she slammed it on the desk, accidentally hitting her deskmate's notebook and tearing a page. She quickly apologized and focused on her studies. While sitting in her seat, she took out the brick from her bag. Seeing this, her classmates were startled. The boy who had teased her earlier panicked and said, "I was just joking, don't be too angry." And so, the new student welcome event began. Everyone is called to the auditorium for the event. The best student in the school welcomes everyone with a speech. At the end of the speech, he even delivers a motivational dialogue for Naruto, which makes Lou and everyone else very happy. Lou, in particular, feels proud because she was the one who taught him that dialogue. The students sitting nearby ask her, "How could you have taught him? What is your relationship with him?" Lou does not want to reveal the truth, but then she remembers that she needs to build her own identity here. So she carefully twists her words and says, "He's my senior, and he is in the class next to mine." This shifts everyone's attention back to Zhang, making Lou feel ignored once again. Later in class, Lou sticks some motivational quotes on her desk to stay focused on her studies. However, she has a terrible habit of falling asleep easily, so she dozes off while looking at the board. During the break, she goes to the auditorium to practice giving speeches like the top students. She promises herself that she will stop sleeping in class and focus on her studies. Excited, she runs to get her camera to take some photos. However, she accidentally steps on a part of the stage, causing some equipment to break. She picks up the camera and tries to run away, but just then, the security guards arrive. To escape, Lou dashes into the broadcasting room. One of the guards takes the camera and leaves the room, but the broadcasting room door gets locked. When the guard sees the camera, Zhang pretends it was his and says, "I forgot my camera in the auditorium." The guard returns the camera to him. Zhang then enters the auditorium and sees Lou stuck inside the broadcasting room. She signals him to open the door, but instead of helping, he starts taking pictures of her, enjoying her frustration. At that moment, a teacher arrives and calls them both to the office. The teacher asks, "What were you both doing there?" Before the teacher can say anything more, both of them immediately deny any relationship, saying, "We're not in a relationship. We don't even know each other." Since childhood, whenever Lou did something good, people would say, "Of course you're his sister, so it's expected." And if she ever got into trouble, regardless of whether it was her fault or not, teachers would scold her, saying, "How can you behave like this when you're his sister?" She did not want this to continue in high school. That's why she had already told Jiang to deny knowing her, and he followed along. However, when the teacher checks their records, their addresses match. The teacher immediately understands that they are siblings and punishes Lou for damaging the stage, assigning her to clean the toilets for 7 days. Afterward, as they leave the office, Lou scolds him for getting her into trouble again. She angrily tells him to get out of her way, but in her frustration, she accidentally trips and falls. Instead of blaming her own clumsiness, she considers him bad luck. Jiang helps her tie her shoelace, making people around them suspicious about their relationship. Later, on her way home, Lou sees her uncle and goes to talk to him. Her uncle asks, "Where do you live? Which bus do you take home?" Then he suddenly asks, "What is your relationship with? Today I saw you two together, and he was even helping you tie your shoelace." Lou panics and says, "Please don't tell anyone about this. I don't want people to know. I want to be recognized for my own achievements in high school, not just as his sister." Meanwhile, we see Jiang's grandfather, who runs an underground gambling ring. Some thugs refuse to pay their debts, so he forcefully takes the money from them. At the same time, Jiang passes by and witnesses this scene. It is revealed that he has never addressed his grandfather as grandpa since childhood, and their relationship is completely broken. His director hands some money to the grandfather, saying he won't be home for a few days. Jiang silently leaves without speaking to him. However, the thugs notice the money exchange and realize that Jiang is his grandson. Seeking revenge, they follow him. A fight breaks out, and during the struggle, it is revealed that Jiang has an artificial limb. Just then, Lou arrives at the scene and, seeing him in danger, picks up a wooden stick to defend him. However, the thugs overpower her, so Jiang pulls her away to protect her. The fight continues, with the thugs brutally attacking him. Lou also got injured, which made Han extremely angry. A helicopter was about to attack the goons, but Lou stopped him. Just then, another boy arrived, fought off the goons, and made them run away. Lou was crying a lot for Han, apologizing, "It's all my fault. Because of me, you got hurt. I shouldn't have left you alone." Han calmed her down and, instead of going home in that condition, took her to his place first. After changing their clothes and tending to their wounds, Han told Lou not to inform their parents about what had happened today. He also said that he wouldn't come over for meals for a few days. To cover for him, he asked her to tell their parents, "Just say that I'm in a bad mood," so they wouldn't find out about the fight and worry. Seeing his condition, Lou blamed herself, thinking, "I shouldn't have avoided him. None of this would have happened." She then decided, "I won't leave him alone anymore. From now on, we'll go to school and return together." She asked, "Will that be a problem for you?" To this, Lou replied, "No matter what happens, you are the most important person to me. I don't care what anyone calls me." Both of them smiled, and at this point, a flash. Both of them smiled, and at this point, a flashback from 8 years ago began. Lou's parents had once witnessed an accident involving a young boy. It was Han. They immediately took him to the hospital. Shortly after, Han's grandfather, who was still a gambler back then, also arrived looking anxious. The doctor informed them that one of Han's legs had to be amputated. Hearing this, his grandfather became extremely furious and was about to attack Mr. L. However, Lou's mother and grandfather assured him that they would take full responsibility for the situation. After signing the consent form, Han was taken for surgery. Lou's grandfather told Han's father, "My son is only 9 years old, and now you have disabled him." Han's grandfather responded, "I will take full responsibility for him." Han's father retorted, "You have no choice but to do so. Otherwise, I will make sure your entire family suffers." From that day on, Han's grandfather declared that they would treat Han as their own son. The next day, they took Lou to meet Han. She welcomed him happily into their family, and that's how he became her brother. Later, he received an artificial leg, which Lou's grandfather had already purchased in advance. That morning, he had gone to Han's room and placed it there because Lou had informed him that Han's artificial leg had broken. Now, Han called Lou to go to school. Before leaving, he thanked Mr. L for everything. Mr. L reminded him to take care of himself and to inform them if anything happened. Then, Lou and Han left for school together. At the bus stop, Han wrote in his diary that he needed to repay every single debt he owed to them. This new artificial leg was just another addition to the list of things he would return in the future, as he was a man of pride. Meanwhile, Lu checked her class group chat, where everyone was talking about her and Han. They had found out that some goons had brutally beaten Han last night, and since Lu had been with him, rumors began spreading about them. Some students questioned, how can they be siblings? Their surnames are different. As the bus arrived, they headed to school, unaware that their relationship was the main topic of discussion among the students. Everyone was debating whether Lu could really be Ha'an's sister or not. The marriage had already taken place, and a rivalry had developed between both families, leading them to fight each other. Lu overheard this nonsense, and angrily she confronted them, saying, "Our families are enemies, and I didn't even know about it until now. If you say anything stupid again, you won't be spared." After that, she returned to her class, where all the girls who liked Han gave Lu lots of gifts and asked her to deliver love letters to him. However, Cha-Cha was getting extremely annoyed with all this and drove them away. Lu thanked him for that. Later, the class committee members were being chosen, and Han was elected as the study representative. Lu had voted for him, thinking it would make him happy, but it only added more responsibilities on his shoulders, which could disturb his studies. Seeing this, Lu felt a little guilty. During break time, she was discussing all of this when she overheard some boys talking badly about Han's past. She got furious and was about to confront them when Han stopped her and took her away. During PE class, students were asked to choose a partner for the exercises. Lu and Han paired up and started the exercises together. While exercising, Lu apologized for troubling him, but also told him, "You truly deserve this role because even if you're weak in studies, you can still help students like us." After talking it out, everything was sorted between them, and they became friends. In class, they even exchanged numbers. Lu then saw a diary belonging to Shaji, where she had given boys scores based on different categories. She was evaluating them on behavior, attitude, looks, intelligence, everything, and recording the data in a structured format. She was using this method to choose the perfect person to date. So far, the highest score had been obtained by Cha-Cha. Surprised, Lu asked how Han managed to get such a high score. Shaji hesitated, but started listing out Han's qualities. That night, Lu went to Han's house to study. She also gave him all the gifts and love letters that had been sent to him. Annoyed, Han told her to throw them all away. Lu was shocked to see that not only junior girls, but even senior girls had sent love letters to Han. There was even a letter from a male fan. One girl had drawn a picture of Han, but without a leg, making fun of him. Seeing this, Lu secretly took the drawing and returned home with it. Meanwhile, at home, Han's grandfather commented, "You're just like your mother." Without saying anything, Han went back to his room, refusing to be bothered any further. The next day at school, Lu caught the two boys who had made fun of Han with that drawing. She dragged them alone to confront them, but the girl called Han a cripple and a coward, who always hid behind girls. Hearing this, Lu got so angry that she was about to beat them up. However, Shaji stopped her and explained that if she used violence, she could get expelled from school. Instead, Cha-Cha said, "I did some digging and found out that these two are actually cowards. So, I have a great idea to teach them a lesson." Lu and Shaji then set their plan into motion. Later, those two students were walking while talking about cheating in exams. Han overheard their conversation. When they entered their class, they found strange items on their desk. One of the girls had asked them to meet her in the biology lab after school. That night, they went to the lab, where Lu and Shaji had already set up a trap to scare them. Suddenly, the lights went off, and the doors locked. Then, skeletons started dancing in the dark. The two students got terrified and panicked. After scaring them enough, Lu finally stepped out and warned them, "If you ever say anything bad about Han again or try to trouble him, things will get even worse. We'll report you to the teacher next time." Then she twisted their hands as a final warning dot. She threatened them, saying, "If you think this was bad, next time will be even worse." Terrified, the two boys quickly ran away. However, they later went to the library and started plotting revenge against Lu. Han overheard their conversation and came to warn them, saying that if they tried anything, he would expose their cheating in exams and inform their parents. Han had recorded their conversation about cheating, so to make him delete it, the boys agreed to solve 20 exam questions for him. The next day, on their way home from school, Lu excitedly told Han how she had taught them a lesson. However, Han, worried about her safety, scolded her slightly, saying, "Don't do anything like that again." Lu responded, "But they were bad-mouthing you. How could I stay silent?" Han sighed and said, "I know what people say about me. It doesn't matter to me. Besides, they're not wrong." Lu got angry and shouted, You were never like this before. Do you remember how brave you were as a child? Once a girl threw water on you and you threw it right back at her. After that, no one ever bullied you. So don't act weak. Your leg doesn't define your talent. Han replied, that was when I was a kid. Now I know the reality, so it doesn't bother me. Frustrated, Lu stormed off. Han followed her, but she refused to talk to him. To get her attention, he deliberately stepped on her shadow. Annoyed, Lu finally spoke. Don't step on my shadow. Otherwise, I won't grow taller. Han laughed and invited her to eat spicy hot pot at a nearby shop. Hearing the name of her favorite dish, Lu quickly agreed, but only after making him promise not to belittle himself anymore. The next day, they went to a comic shop. Lu wanted the latest editions of Naruto and One Piece, but all copies had already been taken by a guy named Mr. Arvind. This made Lu furious, as every time she wanted to read a comic, that same person would take them first. Seeing her frustration, Han calmed her down and took her home. At home, Lu's mother had cooked a meal for everyone, but none of them liked it. However, no one could refuse her food, so they had to eat. Lu managed to make Ha'an the scapegoat, forcing him to eat the most. Ha'an, struggling to swallow, still smiled and said, "It's delicious." To make things worse, he even offered some to Uncle El, forcing him to eat as well. Everyone pretended to enjoy the food, and their mother happily smiled. After the meal, their mother mentioned that Ha'an was going to another city for a study camp, and wouldn't be able to come home for a while. Lu was upset, but her mother simply said, "Then you should eat extra today." She smiled mischievously. That night, Lu and Han went to feed their pet rooster, Songdi. Lu often relied on Songdi to make decisions for her. To decide which subject she should study to improve her grades, she wrote different subject names on small papers and threw them in front of Songdi. The rooster picked math. Seeing this, Lu clutched her head in despair because math was her weakest subject. Han advised her, "You should start with math since it's your weakest subject. I won't be here for a few days, so make sure you study properly." Lu then asked, "Can I predict how your trip will go?" She prepared lucky charms for him, and even made some prediction slips. She put them in Songdi's box, and the rooster picked one that said, "A rival will appear." Han didn't take it seriously, but Lu insisted on making a lucky charm for him, saying it would help. However, Han refused to take it. Before leaving, Lu wished him good luck for his exams. Meanwhile, in Lu's class, a new student arrived. A new student made his entrance, striking a hand sign, which made him look quite cool to everyone. Gogo already knew him, so he greeted him and pointed at Lu, saying, "Do you know her?" Lu, however, did not recognize him. The new student sat with Gogo but kept looking at Lu the entire time. Gogo teased, "Are you interested in Lu?" The new student denied it, but he continued staring at her. A flashback showed Lu and Han's childhood. A girl had once made fun of Han by throwing water on him, but he had retaliated by throwing it back. This had ensured that no one bullied him again. In the present, the new student kept looking at Lu. He noticed that she was reading a comic and started telling her the story ahead. Annoyed, Lu snapped, "Hey, don't spoil my story." The boy then asked, "Haven't you recognized me yet?" Lu replied, "No, I don't think I've ever met you before." As she grew uncomfortable under his stare, he covered his face with his hand, which suddenly triggered her memory. You're that weird girl, aren't you?" she exclaimed. He smirked and replied, "Of course, I was the one who saved you from those goons back then." Lu was surprised and asked, "But your hair was much longer back then." The boy, now revealed as Chien, explained, "I had to cut it short for school." Meanwhile, during club recruitment, students were applying for different activities. Chien applied for this basketball club. Lu asked, "Do you even know how to play basketball?" He confidently replied, "You'll see when I make history at this school." Chien then went to take the selection test for the school's basketball team. He performed exceptionally well, but shockingly, he was not selected. Lu was outraged. "But you played better than anyone. How could this happen?" Chien calmly said, "I already knew this would happen." At the same time, Ha'an attended a special class, where everyone knew him as the contact demon because he had won all math and physics competition. However, today was a chemistry contest, and his presence surprised everyone. A boy named Subha, last year's chemistry competition topper, was also there. Hearing all the praise about Han, he turned to look at him with interest. During math class, Lu got distracted and wasn't paying attention. The teacher called her to the board and asked her to solve a question, but she couldn't understand anything. Just then, the bell rang, and the teacher let her sit down. However, she noticed that Chien was not in class. Gogo explained, "He didn't get selected for the basketball team, so he's upset." Lu found this strange. "That's a big problem. He won't accept defeat so easily. If he doesn't find out the real reason, he might cause trouble for the entire school. Gogo added, well, the principal's son. Lu and Gogo were shocked. Meanwhile, Qian went straight to the basketball team captain and asked, did my grandfather tell you not to select me? The captain did not respond, but Qian immediately understood that it was his grandfather's doing. At the same time, Subha, having heard about Han's achievements, became obsessed with competing against him. He approached Han, introduced himself, and directly challenged him to a chemistry contest. Han was cleaning the lucky charm that Lu had given him and didn't pay much attention to Subha's challenge. Meanwhile, Lu returned home, hiding something in her hands. She also snatched a comic book from Han. Han scolded her, saying, today's match channel. The teacher scolded Lu for sleeping in class yesterday and not being able to solve even a simple math problem. As punishment, she warned her to return the comics to the shop. She also imposed strict rules. No TV, no mobile, only studying at home. Hearing this, Lu went to her room and called Han to check on him. He told her about his ongoing rivalry and said it had been a tough competition. Lu excitedly responded, see, Song was right, you found your rival. That's why you should always keep the lucky charm with you. She then asked, when are you coming back? Mom has made my life miserable without you. She even confiscated all my comics. Han laughed and said, she's right, you should focus on studying. Also, did you finish solving the question paper I gave you? Lu hesitated and then quickly ended the call. The next day, all 10 D3 grade students were called to the auditorium. Qian showed up wearing a hoodie, which made the principal furious. He was ordered to remove it, and as soon as he did, everyone gasped. He had dyed his hair bright red. The students were shocked, realizing that Qian had officially started rebelling against his grandfather. The principal angrily scolded him, but Qian boldly replied, I used your money to dye my hair. The principal, furious, ordered the teachers to suspend Qian until he changed his hair back to normal. After school, Lu went to the comic shop to return her favorite comics, even though she hadn't finished reading them. There, she saw Qian, who asked, do you really read all of these? Lu started listing all her favorite comics. Qian smiled and said, those are my favorites too. We must have similar tastes. Lu then found out that an anime-obsessed aristocrat was the one who kept buying out all the new comics before she could get them. Qian asked, why are you returning them without reading? Lu sighed. Because of my mom. Qian, noticing her disappointment, decided to cheer her up. He took her to the basketball court and said, this is the best place to forget your worries. Want to try making a basket? It'll lift your mood. Lu hesitated. I'm too short. How can I even make a basket? Qian stood under the hoop and told her to run and jump while he helped her. Lu ran, grabbed the ball, and with Qian's boost, she successfully made the shot. However, she ended up hanging from the hoop. Qian laughed and hung onto the hoop beside her, asking, feeling better now? Lu, still nervous about coming down, asked, what if I fall? Qian reassured her. Don't worry, just scream and let out your frustration. Lu took a deep breath and shouted, I hate math. After coming down, they sat on the ground talking. Lu asked, do you really love basketball that much? Qian nodded. Yeah, since childhood. Lu suddenly got an idea and said, then you don't need to be on the school team? You can start your own basketball club? Qian replied, but my dad won't approve my application. Lu smirked. Then what if I submit the application instead? Excited, Qian agreed, and promised to show up at school with his hair dyed back to normal. That night, Lu worked on her math homework, while Han called her. She told him about Qian's rebellious act and explained everything that had happened. Listening to her talk so much about another guy annoyed Han. It reminded him of Lu's earlier comment about finding her rival. After finishing her homework, she submitted it the next day and the teacher was impressed. At school, Qian was waiting for Lu. Suddenly, she and Sakshi came running towards him looking panicked. She said, our club application wasn't approved, and worse, it has completely disappeared. This meant Qian directly went to the principal's office to confront his grandfather. The principal started lecturing him about focusing on his studies instead of wasting time on basketball. He insisted that Qian should dedicate himself to academics rather than sports. Lu and Sakshi overheard the conversation from outside. Suddenly, Qian declared, fine, then I'll leave this school, go to Kota, and re-enroll. Let's see how you stop me from playing. Hearing this, Lu and Sakshi barged into the office and demanded an explanation for why their club application had been rejected. The principal calmly explained, our school does not need 2 basketball teams. That's why your club was rejected. Lu, in her eagerness, quickly argued, but at least give us a chance to prove our ability. The principal thought for a moment and then said, fine, compete against the school team. If your team wins, I will approve your club. But if you lose, you will focus only on studies. Lu confidently accepted the challenge. However, later that night, reality hit them. They didn't even have a proper team, while the school's basketball team was extremely strong. Still, Lu and Qian refused to give up and started planning. Their first task was to find 3 more players. They divided responsibilities among themselves and began searching for members. Lu shared all these details with Han over the phone, explaining that their team was short by 3 players and that the match was just 3 days away. Han reassured her, "Don't worry, maybe tomorrow some miracle will happen and you'll find your players." Surprisingly, the next day, Lu actually found 3 players. 2 of them were the same students who had badmouthed Han earlier. They only agreed to join because Lu had promised to delete their exam cheating recording if they helped. Additionally, they found 1 more player, completing their team. Qian immediately started training them. Meanwhile, Shoji designed custom jerseys for their team, which excited Lu so much that she went home and started painting a logo for their club. In another part of the school, Han was in class when he was handed a notebook that Suba had taken. Instead of returning it, Suba challenged Han to a chemistry contest. Han accepted. The competition began with an extremely tough question. Suba immediately started solving it on the board, while Han only began writing his answer 20 seconds later. However, before Suba could finish, Han completed the solution within 1 minute using a simpler process, whereas Suba's board was filled with lengthy calculations. Admitting defeat, Suba returned Han's notebook. Just then, Lu sent Han a photo of Qian. Seeing it, Han's face darkened with annoyance. Meanwhile, it was the day of the basketball match. The game started, and Qian's team initially performed well. However, in the end, they lost to the school team by just 2 points. The principal, witnessing the match, simply walked away. Lu ran after him to speak. The principal said, "You all played well, but rules are rules. Since your team lost, I cannot approve the basketball club." Disheartened, Lu was returning when suddenly Han arrived. His study camp had ended. Seeing him, Lu became extremely happy. Han asked about the match result. When he learned that they lost, he teased Lu. Just then, he saw Qian and realized that this was the same person he had encountered on the road that day. Han casually said, "Since he hasn't had lunch either, let's all eat together." So, the 3 of them went to lunch. To avoid eating too much spicy food, Lu strategically poured chili sauce on Han's food. However, to her surprise, he ate it calmly and even said it was delicious. Later that evening, as school ended, Lu and Han walked home together, where Han asked, "So what happened with your rival?" Lu proudly replied, "He lost. Thanks to my lucky charm and Song Di, the fortune teller, you were able to defeat him." Han then asked if she had completed the homework he had assigned her. The moment he brought it up, Lu quickly ran home to avoid answering. The next day at school, exams were held. Qian gave Lu a asterisk sticker and said, "This will bring you luck for your exam." Since both of them were comic lovers, Lu excitedly placed the sticker on her pencil box, hoping it would bring her good luck. Meanwhile, Shoji transferred to Han's school because he wanted to compete with him. During the exam, Shoji told Han, "This time, I won't let you win." After the exams, the results were announced. Qian teased Lu, saying, "You failed in 2 subjects." Lu, in response, checked Qian's result and found that he had only passed in 2 subjects, so she made fun of him even more. However, the biggest shock was that Han did not come in first place this time. Instead, Shoji had taken the top rank. Lu and Qian were surprised. Suba, too, was analyzing the results and kept looking for Han, who was nowhere to be found. Eventually, Suba found him cleaning the classroom. Han calmly said, "I told you, didn't I? He won?" Frustrated, Suba argued with him, but Han simply told him to clean outside instead. Meanwhile, Shoji had completed his full analysis of Han and documented everything in his diary. Based on his calculations, Han had dropped to rank 2. Lu asked, "How did you change so quickly?" Shoji smirked. "I just got here and I already defeated Han. Also, I found out that he has won several national chemistry competitions." Lu then challenged, "Let's see in the next exam. Han take back first place." Suba supported Shoji, but another chemistry tryout was about to take place. Only 1 student from their school could participate. The teacher told Han, "You are the best in physics, so you should enter the physics tryout." But Han requested to take the chemistry tryout instead. Seeing his determination, the teacher allowed both Han and Shoji to prepare for it. In the chemistry lab, Shoji asked, "Why didn't you choose physics? If you had, both of us would have taken first place together." Han, busy with his experiment, simply replied, "When you leave, lock the door behind you." Later, Lu asked Han, "Why did you give up physics? You were really good at it." She then added, "I know you came second this time, so you must want to defeat Shoji, but he's the national chemistry topper." She encouraged him, saying, "I believe in you. You will definitely do well." Then she quickly added, "I'm not trying to lecture you or anything, it's just that my psychological thinking is a bit more advanced, so I had already predicted this." Ha'an playfully flicked her forehead and said, "Don't worry." However, Lu was still concerned about his exam. She took the initiative to write down short notes for all the chemistry experiments by researching online. Her mother saw her and said, "You should focus on your studies first. Ha'an is very intelligent. He doesn't need these notes." Despite this, Lu continued making the notes for him. Meanwhile, Mr. Lu had borrowed money, and when it came time to return it, the lenders assumed he was broke and planned to take his daughter away to work at a factory. Han's grandfather, furious at the situation, intervened and paid off the debt. Later, Lu delivered the notes to Han. Seeing Han smile, Lu felt relieved. The next day, he even brought the notes to class. Subha sarcastically commented, "Do you really plan to study from that? If you do, you won't even pass. And I don't want my competitors to be weak." He then handed the notes back. Lu sat quietly as many students were discussing how Subha would defeat Han again. Just then, Qian confidently said, "I support Subha. I don't think Han will win." Lu was annoyed by their remarks and told Qian, "Then let's bet on it. I believe Han will win." However, Ha'an overheard their conversation. Without reacting, he simply said, "It's not like that. I know you're on my side." Then he walked away to focus on his studies. Later, Lu told Qian, "I do support Ha'an, but he always loses. That's why I bet on Subha." Qian replied, "Don't worry. Ha'an won't win." That night, Qian sneaked into the school office to steal the chemistry tryout question paper. Just then, Sakshi entered to submit some document. Qian quickly covered her mouth to stop her from screaming. He then proceeded to take the questions and even asked Sakshi if she wanted to see the upcoming monthly test question. Sakshi turned away and refused to look. Qian, however, secretly took a picture of the questions. Later, Han was given the question paper, but he tore it up saying, "I don't need this." Meanwhile, because of Qian's actions, Sakshi got caught in trouble. The teacher checked the CCTV footage and scolded her severely, even though she was an excellent student. Qian admitted, "She didn't steal the questions, I did," Sakshi then clarified. Even so, Qian didn't look at our class's test questions. He only took the grade 2 questions. As punishment, both of them were ordered to write self-reflection 1,000 times. Later, Qian apologized to Lu, but he had a new problem. He didn't know how to write self-reflection because he had never been punished before. So, Lu and Qian helped him, as they both had plenty of experience in writing punishment. At home, Lu was studying with Han, but she soon fell asleep while sitting on the bed. Seeing her, Han playfully wrote chemistry formulas on her cheeks and then laughed while reading them out loud. The next morning, Lu's mother and grandfather prepared her favorite meal. Lu took some of it to Han before his chemistry tryout. However, he had a fever. Lu suggested taking medicine, but Han refused, fearing it would make him too sleepy during the exam. Despite his condition, he proceeded with the experiment. Subha noticed that he wasn't feeling well. Finally, after checking all the students' experiments, the teacher announced that Han had produced the best results, making him the winner of the chemistry tryout. Lu, worried about Han's health, ran to the school. Subha confronted Han. "Even though you were sick, you didn't make a single mistake in your experiment. How is that possible?" Han replied, "I practiced the experiment multiple times every day." Subha, slightly frustrated, admitted, "I made a small mistake this time." Han then explained, "I chose chemistry because it gives the highest bonus points." Just then, Lu arrived, out of breath from running. She had brought medicine for Han and asked him about the exam. Han stayed silent for fun, making Lu think that he had done poorly. Lu thought to herself that maybe she shouldn't have bet on Subha. She was also worried that Han might feel bad about it. To make up for it, she took him to a small shrine where she placed an apple as an offering, praying for his good exam results. Just as she was about to leave, Han picked up another apple and casually said, "Don't worry, my exam went well." Lu was overjoyed and proudly said, "That means my luck prediction was right. Whenever I place a bet, the person I bet against always loses." A flashback showed a moment from their childhood when Lu played Ludo with Ha'an and lost all her chocolates to him. Back in the present, an official school announcement declared that Ha'an had ranked first in the chemistry tryout. Ha'an instantly became the talk of the school, especially since Shoji was a national chemistry competition winner. Lu and Qian sat together, and she updated her Mr. Perfect ranking list. She deducted some points from Shoji and put Han at the top once again. After school, Lu and Han took the bus home. While on the bus, a man accidentally stepped on Han's artificial leg. This was dangerous because the crowded bus could damage it. To avoid such situation, Lu decided she would learn how to ride a bicycle with a passenger seat so she could take Han to school safely. To practice, she tried riding a bicycle with her grandfather sitting behind her, but she lost balance and ended up damaging the bike. Unfortunately, that was her mother's favorite bicycle, and now it was in bad shape. She had to get it repaired. To ensure she could learn properly, Lu asked Qian to help her practice after class. After school, both of them went to the basketball court. Just as Qian was about to start teaching her, Han happened to see them together. Later, Lu told Qian that she wanted to learn how to ride a bicycle with a passenger because she planned to take Han to school. She also made him promise not to tell anyone because she wanted it to be a surprise. Since Han had never ridden a bicycle due to his leg, he became interested in learning as well. The next morning, he asked to borrow a bicycle, showing genuine determination. His concern about his leg made him hesitant, but after thinking for a while, he decided to give it a try. Meanwhile, Lu was growing impatient while waiting for Qian. To pass the time, she started working on building her muscle strength. Qian helped her with exercises, and at first, she couldn't even move the bike properly, but after practicing for a while, she managed to ride it for a short distance. At the same time, Han was racing against Lu on a bicycle to increase his speed. Eventually, both of them rode all the way to Lu's house. When they arrived, Lu's mother saw them together and immediately invited everyone for dinner. That evening, they all enjoyed a meal together. Later, Han and Qian went outside, and Han curiously asked, "What's so special about you that Lu treats you so well?" Qian simply replied, "She treats you well too." Han then asked, "You can ride a bicycle well, right?" Qian nodded, so Han started asking him many questions about cycling. Qian, realizing what was happening, smirked and asked, "Wait, do you want to learn how to ride a bike?" Han hesitated before finally admitting, "Yes." Qian then said, "I can't be the one to teach you. Lu is already learning just so she can take you to school." Hearing this, Han was taken aback. Lu had asked Qian not to tell him, but now that he knew, he felt deeply touched. Meanwhile, Han's grandfather had developed a habit of buying lottery tickets with Zhu Hui. He was not doing any proper work and was just wasting money. When the lottery results came out, he lost again. Frustrated, he asked Han and Mr. L for money. However, Han had already used all his winnings to pay the household bills. This led to an argument, and his grandfather angrily yelled at him, saying, "Didn't your mother give you any money?" At that moment, Han deeply missed his mother. Han hadn't seen his mother for a long time. Perhaps his parents had divorced, which was why they only communicated through messages or met during festivals. Lu noticed his sadness and took him home for a meal. Being with Lu and her family brightened his mood. Han finally learned to ride a bicycle properly and, as a gift, bought a bicycle for Lu. Since Lu had also mastered double seating, she called Han downstairs, made him sit behind her on the bicycle, and took him for a ride. The next morning, she excitedly called Han outside, ready to take him to school on her bicycle. However, Han had already bought his own bicycle because the one Lu had been using was actually her mother's, but his new bicycle didn't have a backseat, which made Lu wonder, how will I make him sit behind me now? Just then, Han pulled out his own bicycle and confidently rode it himself. She quickly followed him, asking, "When did you learn how to ride a bike?" Han casually replied, "I already knew how." Lu, still surprised, asked, "What else are you hiding from me?" Han smirked. "A lot of things." A flashback showed how, after his accident, Han had struggled to walk properly. It was Lu who had motivated him and helped him regain confidence in walking again. Seeing his progress now, Shoji increased Han's ranking by 2 points on his Mr. Perfect list. Lu, however, protested, "Why only 2 points? Learning to ride a bicycle isn't that easy. At least add 10 points. Shoji refused, but Lu kept pushing. Finally, Shoji explained, "If I increase his score by 10 points, he'll reach a perfect 100, and then he'll officially become my Mr. Perfect. After that, I'd have no choice but to confess my love to him." Hearing this, Lu immediately backed off. Han overheard and teasingly said, "Then go ahead and add 10 points. Lu quickly changed her stance, saying, No, learning to ride a bicycle wasn't that difficult. 2 points are enough." Shoji, feeling competitive, thought to himself, "I've been trying to impress Lu for so long, yet Han won her over just by learning to ride a bicycle. I need to do something." At school, drum medal competition was being advertised, where the winner would receive limited edition basketball shoes. Shoji saw this as an opportunity and came up with a plan. That evening, Shoji waited for Lu after school. Since Han's class ended at 7 p.m., Shoji offered to walk Lu home. Lu agreed and they rode their bicycles together. During their ride, Shoji invited her out for an evening outing, and Lu excitedly accepted. Later, Shoji took her to a store and showed her details about the drum medal competition. Since Shoji had helped her learn cycling, Lu enthusiastically said, I will win those shoes for you. At the competition venue, Shoji was already practicing, assuming Lu would be his partner. However, when Lu informed him that she had already formed a team with someone else, he got frustrated. He challenged her, saying, "Whoever gets the highest perfect score will get to team up with me." A competition between them began, and Lu won. Since Shoji was an expert in this game, he started training with Lu to improve her drumming rhythm. Lu was overjoyed and enjoyed practicing. However, once again, Han saw the two of them together. The next day in class, Lu and Shoji skipped math to practice drumming. Their math teacher caught them and kicked them out of class. Even outside, Lu continued practicing her drumming pattern under Shoji's guidance. And once again, Han saw them from above. Unable to ignore it any longer, he directly confronted Shoji. Han told him to stop distracting Lu because it was affecting her studies. Shoji casually replied, "We're just practicing for the drum competition." Han then said, "Lu won't participate with you." Shoji smirked and asked, "Why does that bother you so much?" "Lu is my..." Gogo wondered whether Han liked Lu or not. Shoji was deep in thought. After school, Han was walking home with Lu and advised her to focus more on studying. He also told her to maintain some distance from Qian, saying, "He doesn't even study properly himself, and now he's distracting you too." Han then asked Lu, "Didn't you tell Qian that you wouldn't participate in the game?" Lu replied, "But he's my friend. I promised him that I'd help him win the basketball shoes." Han questioned, "So, are you really willing to compromise your studies for this? You both even got punished in math class today. Don't you think this is affecting your studies?" Lu hesitated but said, "I can't just break my promise." Without another word, Han pedaled his bicycle away and told Lu not to follow him. Lu, now frustrated, called Qian to talk. She started ranting about Han, complaining that he always interfered in her matters and tried to control everything she did. Qian agreed with her, adding, "Yeah, he really does control you a lot." Lu continued, "But I already told him that I would help my friend. A promise is a promise, and I'll make sure Qian wins those shoes." However, in the very next moment, she realized that Han was only thinking about her well-being. He just didn't want her studies to suffer. Deciding to balance both, she said, "I'll make sure to study too, so he doesn't have to worry about me." With that, she left to grab some spicy hot pot, her favorite comfort food. Meanwhile, Han was practicing for the drum battle on his own. He had already figured out the pattern for achieving a perfect score. He had challenged Qian because he didn't want Lu to break her promise, but at the same time, he wasn't going to let Qian win so easily. As night fell, Han didn't return home, causing Lu to call him. She asked, "Where are you?" Han gave a vague response and then hung up. Lu then asked, "Are you still mad at me?" Han simply replied, "No." Hearing this, Lu smiled. At school, Han wrote down the perfect scoring pattern for the drum battle. Shoji had been studying Han closely and knew almost everything about him. He even realized that Han had only learned how to ride a bicycle for Lu's sake. When asked about it, Han admitted, "You're the reason I study hard. You defeated me in the last test, so I need to focus." After school, Qian and Lu practiced for the drum battle. Lu struggled to match Qian's speed. Just then, Han arrived and stepped in for Lu. Qian refused to back down, so Han challenged him, saying, "If I score higher than you, I will be your partner instead of Lu." Qian, overconfident, thought to himself, "I've been playing this game since childhood. No one has ever beaten me." But to his surprise, Han defeated him on the first attempt. Lu was extremely impressed because Han had never even played this game before, yet he still won. Qian had no choice but to accept Han as his new partner. The next day at school, Qian called for Lu to practice. However, she was sitting with Han, completing her homework. She told Qian, "Han is your partner now. I need to finish my homework." Han was secretly pleased to hear this. Later, after she finished her work, she went to watch the practice. During the practice, Han kept distracting Qian, sometimes by pulling out his earbuds, other times by disrupting his rhythm. The two of them continued to compete intensely. Neither Han nor Qian was willing to adjust. Qian preferred playing with loud music, while Han wanted complete silence. To settle this, Lu came up with a plan. She handed Qian the earbuds so he could listen to music, while she turned up the volume of the machine. However, this backfired, as neither of them could play properly. Lu decided to end the session for the day and suggested they go home. After Qian left, Lu gave Han a pair of wireless earbuds and told him to listen to music while practicing. She explained that it would help him concentrate without being disturbed by loud volume. The next morning, Han was on the terrace practicing while listening to music. Lu found him incredibly cute as he focused on his training. During school break, Ha-an and Lu continued practicing, which significantly improved their coordination. Finally, the competition day arrived. After defeating several teams, they faced their final opponents. The three of them were overjoyed, and Lu was so excited that she started jumping up and down. The next day in class, Chien was flaunting his new basketball shoes in front of Shoji. Shoji sarcastically said, "You didn't win them alone. Lu and Han helped you, so I won't increase your ranking points." Chien dismissed the comment, saying, "I did all of this for Lu anyway." Later in the cafeteria, she took some of her mom's makeup to school. Shoji helped her apply it, but it didn't turn out well. Chien noticed and laughed. Meanwhile, the teacher had worn a hair clip that Lu secretly took and placed in her own hair. Lu then asked Shoji about her eye contact test, but she didn't reveal that she had failed. Han, overhearing their conversation, curiously asked, "What are you guys talking about?" Shoji, now intrigued, kept pressing Lu for details. To distract him, she bought him a bunch of snacks. Later, Shoji asked Han, "Have you ever held a girl's hand before?" Han thought about it and remembered high-fiving Lu as kids. Shoji then asked, "And how did that make you feel?" Han simply replied, "Happy." Next, Shoji asked, "Have you ever hugged a girl?" Han recalled when they won the drum medal competition, and Lu had grabbed both of his arms while jumping in excitement. Shoji then asked, "Have you ever looked into her eyes for a long time?" Han nodded. Shoji followed up, "Who looked away first?" Han hesitated before saying, "Me." Shoji smirked and declared, "Then you like her." Flustered, Han quickly walked away. Meanwhile, Lu placed the stolen hair clip in her hair and went to see Han. She asked, "Do I look different today?" Han, unaware of any change, replied, "No." Feeling frustrated, Lu ran off. The next day, she tried wearing a little lipstick, but again, Han didn't notice. However, she overheard some girls saying, "She looks beautiful in her new uniform." That night, Lu decided to dress even better. The next morning, she wore her neatly ironed uniform, styled her hair, and added a hair clip, before heading to school with Han. On the way, Han commented, "You look different today." Hearing this, Lu beamed with happiness. Chien soon joined them and smirked, "You're looking really good today." Later, Shoji made an observation. "I have a friend who has suddenly started paying extra attention to her appearance. That can only mean one thing, she has a crush." Chien teasingly asked, "Is it someone from her class?" Lu's expression changed slightly. Just then, a teacher caught Lu for altering her uniform. "Uniform modifications are not allowed. This could lead to punishment," the teacher warned. Han frowned and told Lu, "You shouldn't have altered your uniform. It's against the rules and it doesn't even look that good." Hearing this, Lu felt annoyed again. But later that night, she realized that her uniform had indeed went out to buy a new hair clip for Lu. At the store, he unexpectedly ran into Deefy. Without acknowledging her, he simply walked away. The next morning, Lu realized that her mother had washed her jacket, leaving her with no choice but to wear her altered uniform again. However, there was a uniform check at the school entrance. Parents were being called if students were caught violating dress codes. Lu tried to avoid getting noticed. Just then, Han, seeing her in trouble, took off his jacket and placed it over her shoulders. Lu wore the jacket and found a hair clip inside its pocket. She smiled and clipped it into her hair. Later, she returned the jacket to Han and asked about the hair clip. Han casually replied, "It was for you anyway, and you look good with it." Lu lied to Han and pretended she wasn't affected, but he asked, "What lie did I tell?" Lu hesitated before saying, "You said you like girls with big eyes and a cute smile, so doesn't that mean you like Dif?" Han looked confused. "When did I ever say that I like Dife?" He then smirked and added, "Besides, your eyes are pretty big too." Saying that, he walked away, leaving Lu blushing. Later, she kept thinking about his words and replayed the moment in her head over and over again. Han's birthday was coming up, so Lu decided to buy him a gift. She went shopping with Cha-Cha and picked out a heart-shaped card. She asked Cha-Cha to write a heartfelt message in it for Han. However, when choosing a gift, Lu got confused. Just then, she spotted a shirt, but realized she didn't know Han's exact size. To figure it out, she teamed up with Shoji. They pretended to read books while secretly trying to measure Han's size. However, a mouse suddenly appeared, startling them and ruining their plan. Determined, Lu tried again. This time she pretended to trip and held onto Han's waist, secretly measuring his torso size. The next day, their school trip was announced. "No, I need to prepare for my competition." Lu then brought up his birthday celebration, but he refused that too. Frustrated, Lu decided not to go on the trip either so she could celebrate his birthday. However, her friends dragged her along anyway. Still, she made sure to order a birthday cake in advance and had it delivered near their trip location, which was close to their school. During the trip, their teacher organized a 3-legged race where pairs of one boy and one girl had to race while their legs were tied together. Shoji was paired with Lu. However, Lu needed to leave early to deliver Ha'an's cake, so she secretly untied her leg and sneaked away. Shoji soon realized she was gone and started chasing after her, leaving the race midway. Lu reached the school and delivered the cake to Han's class. However, while sneaking back out, she got caught by the teacher and had to hide in the art room. Ha'an ended up hiding there with her. Their eyes met again, but this time, Ha'an was the one who looked away first. Moments later, Shoji also got caught, leading to all three of them being scolded by the teacher for leaving the trip without permission. Shoji quickly explained that they had returned to school for Han's birthday. Surprisingly, the teacher softened up and even encouraged them to cut the cake. The students and teacher all celebrated together, and for the first time, Han genuinely smiled. Later, Ha'an received a birthday message from his father. That evening, Lu visited his house and gave him the shirt as a gift. She also handed him the heart-shaped card and asked him to wear the shirt. As soon as Han's mother called to wish him, she said, "Next year, you'll turn 18, and then you won't have to stay with your grandfather anymore. I will take you with me. Otherwise, he will ruin your life." Ha'an's face lit up with joy. Later that night, he saw Lu's birthday wish in the card. She had written, "May all your dreams come true, Ha'an." The next day at school, the teacher announced a New Year's celebration event. Everyone was asked to participate in different performances. However, Han's class was full of serious academic students who weren't interested. The teacher then said, "One of you must be the event host." Nobody volunteered, so the teacher decided to hold a vote between Han and Suba. Meanwhile, Lu Qian and Gogo discussed their performance. Since Gogo was a great dancer, he suggested a unique Western basketball dance concept, incorporating basketball tricks into their performance. They immediately started preparing for it. During the voting, Lu overheard that Difei was also running for the host position. This meant that if Ha'an won, he would have to co-host with her. Lu was furious. She knew that everyone would vote for Han, so she started telling people to vote for Suba instead. However, despite her efforts, Han was still leading in votes. In desperation, Lu stuffed fake votes into the ballot box for Subha. Unfortunately, the teacher caught her in the act. As a result, Han was officially chosen as the event host. Her plan had completely backfired. Frustrated, Lu decided to focus on their dance performance. However, when the selection round for the dance competition happened, their group failed. Due to mistakes in choreography, Lu and her friends had planned to give a memorable dance performance, but fear made her hesitate. She ended up leaving early, feeling conflicted. On her way home, she waited, wondering if Ha'an was coming back with Difei. When she saw them walking together, she was frustrated to see how close they were. Difei even grabbed Ha'an's arm while pretending to measure his wrist size. The next morning, she went to school alone. Still upset, she vented to Shoji, angrily recalling what had happened the night before. Shoji, observing her jealousy, smirked and said, "Ah, so you're jealous, aren't you?" Lu ignored the remark. Later, she and her friends went to the practice room, only to find Difei and Han practicing there again. Annoyed, Lu walked straight to their table and slammed a speaker onto it. "This is our practice time. We were assigned this slot too," she snapped. An argument between Lu and Difei ensued. To settle the dispute, Gogo suggested splitting the room so both teams could practice at the same time. Lu, however, was still seething. Her frustration with Difei made it impossible for her to focus on practice. When she went to learn a new technique from Qian, Han got up and walked away, visibly irritated. Later, Lu ran into Difei at a convenience store. Difei lied to her, saying, "Han and I picked out this hair clip together just for you." Lu was outraged. Realizing that Difei had taken the hair clip from Han's classroom, she stormed in, grabbed the clip, and told Han not to come to her house anymore. Later, at the cafeteria, Lu deliberately sat next to Shoji in front of Ha'an. The other students noticed the tension and whispered among themselves, but Han ignored it completely. Meanwhile, Lu and her group threw themselves into preparing for their performance. During practice, Gogo injured himself. The teacher advised him to sit out, but Gogo insisted, "It's not serious. I will still perform." Everyone resumed practicing with full energy. That evening, Lu even continued practicing at home. Han came over to talk to her, but she immediately turned away. He then grabbed her wrist and said, "I don't know what someone told you, but I bought that hair clip for you myself." Hearing this, Lu's anger melted away. To make up for it, she made him a bow tie to wear during the event. In the following days, Lu worked harder than ever. Finally, New Year's Eve arrived. The event began, and all performances were going well. However, as the night progressed, the weather started worsening. Some performances were canceled, Deef took this opportunity to suggest canceling Lu's class performance. The teacher hesitated but eventually agreed. Han, however, was outraged. He had seen how hard Lu and her friends had worked. Just as the celebration was about to end, Han ran onto the stage and announced, "Lu's class still has a final performance left." The audience, intrigued, sat back down. Lu and her friends, ecstatic, rushed onto the stage and began their dance. Their unique basketball-themed dance captivated the entire audience. By the end of the performance, the crowd erupted into cheers. It was declared the best performance of the night. Even Han's grandfather, watching from the crowd, looked proud. After a thunderous applause, the event finally ended. Backstage, Deefy approached Lu and apologized for lying about the hair clip. She admitted, "I was just jealous because Han treats you differently. He likes you." Lu, taken aback, responded, "But he'll never like you back." Deefy smirked. "I never said he would. I just wanted to confess my feelings." With that, she walked away. Outside, the air was freezing. Han came over, holding a muffler, keeps it as is. Lu is furious, calling him out for cheating, but Han just smirks and dismisses her complaints. The next day at school, a girl gives Han a letter. Lu, seeing this, gets excited, thinking it's a love letter. However, when she reads it, she realizes it's just someone asking her to teach them how to dance. Han bursts out laughing at her reaction. Meanwhile, Chien and Gogo notice that the latest volume of their favorite manga hasn't been released yet. Han tells Lu to throw away the old issues, but Chien seems to take issue with this. The following day, Chien confronts Han, telling him, "You're not even Lu's real brother, so stop trying to control her." After this, Chien starts to intentionally bother Han. One evening, Lu and Han are sitting outside when Lu, feeling cold, places her hands inside Han's hoodie pocket. At that moment, Chien appears again and mocks her, asking, "Why are you always sitting with your brother?" Hearing this, Han gets up and leaves. Lu realizes that being called her brother bothers Han more than she thought. She asks Chien, "Why do you keep calling him my brother?" Chien shrugs. "I don't know. But why does he hate it so much?" Lu, deep in thought, responds, "Maybe it's because my grades are bad. He probably doesn't want a sister with low grades." Then she hesitates and quietly adds, "Or maybe it's because he likes me." Later that day, Chien invites Lu to the comic store with him after class, but she declines, saying she has to finish her homework. That evening, Han helps her with her assignments, and later they go out for ice cream. Lu can't finish her ice cream, so Han takes it and eats the rest. Afterward, they go to a comic store together. Lu is delighted as she picks out her favorite series and gets lost in reading. They don't realize how late it is until it gets dark. Lu starts to worry that her mom will be upset. Han reassures her, "I already called your mom and told her you were with me." Hearing this, Lu smiles warmly. Feeling cold, she instinctively puts her hands inside Han's hoodie pocket again as they walk home. Chien tells Lu about an upcoming debate competition. While having lunch with Lu in the cafeteria, he also tells her about a manga festival where the person with the most unique costume will win a brand new comic book from their favorite manga artist. Chien asks Lu to be his partner and she agrees. Han, however, refuses to let this happen. To prevent Lu from going with Chien, he secretly registers Chien's name for the debate competition instead. Since Chien wasn't interested in debating anyway, he remains unaware of Han's plan and continues preparing for his cosplay event. The next morning, Chien is shocked when the teacher announces that he is participating in the debate competition as part of Shoji's team. Realizing that if Chien participates, the debate is scheduled for the same day as the manga festival, Chien promises Lu that he will find a way to escape, while Lu prepares her extravagant costume. However, before Chien can sneak out, his father catches him and forces him to attend the debate. Chien has no choice but to go along with it. Meanwhile, Lu nervously waits for Chien. Many other contestants arrive at the manga festival, but Chien is missing. Just as she starts to worry, Han shows up and declares, "I'll be your partner instead." Lu quickly takes him to get dressed. She gives him a complete makeover, making his costume the most unique of all. Because of this, they end up winning first place in the festival. At the same time, Chien unexpectedly wins the debate, making his grandfather extremely proud. After receiving their medals, Lu and Han sneak away from the crowd and sit by a bridge. Noticing that Lu is cold, Han takes off his jacket and puts it around her. Suddenly, fireworks light up the sky. The two silently watch, enjoying the moment together. Meanwhile, Defei makes another attempt to separate Lu and Han. She spreads a rumor about an old school building that is said to be haunted. According to legend, there is a magical mirror inside a specific room that shows people the face of their destined partner. Defei convinces some of her friends to visit the abandoned school at night, where she secretly records a video in front of the magic mirror. She then claims that she saw Han's reflection in the mirror, proving that she and Han are fated to be together. Defei spreads the video at school, making it go viral. Soon, everyone starts gossiping about Han and Defei as a couple. Lu, irritated by the false rumor, decides to expose Defei's lie. She makes a plan with her friends to return to the abandoned school and uncover the truth. However, Qian overhears their plan. Instead of stopping them, he decides to use this opportunity to impress Lu. He asks Gogo to dress up as a ghost to scare everyone, thinking that if he protects Lu, she will be impressed. That night, Lu and her friends sneak into the school. When they reach the locked gate, Qian skillfully unlocks it using a hairpin, and the three of them enter. The school is eerily dark, and Lu's hands start shaking as she accidentally drops her phone. Leaving Lu behind, Qian and Gogo head toward the magic mirror room. Inside, they hear strange noises coming from another room. Nervously, they push open the door and are immediately startled when a rat jumps out. They all scream in terror. Meanwhile, it is getting very late and Lu's guardians start worrying about her whereabouts. Were worried about Lu's whereabouts since it was getting late. Meanwhile, Lu, Qian, and Gogo were still inside the abandoned school. As they walked through the dark hallways, they heard strange noises. Lu shivered, feeling an eerie presence around them. Qian, trying to act brave, said, "Don't be scared, there's nothing here." But just as he finished speaking, a loud bang echoed through the corridor, making all three of them jump. Lu grabbed Qian's arm tightly, and Gogo gulped nervous. "Maybe we should leave now," Gogo whispered. They finally reached the so-called magic mirror room. Lu stepped forward, determined to prove that Defei was lying. She looked into the mirror, expecting to see nothing unusual. But Lu, seeing Han, ran straight into his arms, trembling. "Something is inside that mirror," she whispered. Han, keeping his cool, walked toward the mirror and examined it closely. "There's no such thing as ghosts," he said firmly. At that moment, the mirror cracked slightly and the shadowy figure disappeared. The room fell silent. Qian, still shaking, muttered, "Let's just get out of here." Han grabbed Lu's hand and led her out. Once they were safely outside, Lu turned to Han and said, "Thank you for coming." He looked at her seriously and asked, "Why did you even come here in the first place?" Lu hesitated before replying, "I wanted to prove that Defei was lying, but I think I ended up proving something else instead." The next day at school, Defei's story about the magic mirror was exposed as a hoax. However, the rumors about her and Han being destined for each other had already spread. Lu found herself growing more and more irritated every time she heard someone mention Defei and Han as a couple on her phone. At school, the next monthly test took place, and Lu scored very well. Her mother and grandfather were extremely happy. Since it was the new year, her grandfather and grandmother were also delighted after hearing her results. Her grandfather decided to meet Han, so Lu went to his house to call him, but no one was home. Meanwhile, Han's grandfather was shown being arrested by the police on New Year's night for gambling. Han had gone in the morning to bail him out. Since his father had already bailed him out multiple times, the police officers were fed up. They gave some money to Han so that he could celebrate New Year's, but the grandfather not only took the money but also demanded more. On the way, Han met Lu, who wished him a happy new year. When she asked where he had been, Han lied, saying he had gone shopping. Lu asked, "Then why aren't you wearing a new outfit?" He replied, "I didn't find any outfit I liked." Seeing Lu's hairstyle, he found it funny and teased her. Lu said, "Do you know how much time I spent styling my hair?" Han replied, "I was just joking, you look really cute." Lu took Han to her house to meet her grandparents. However, Lu's mother seemed worried because, despite all her hard work, things weren't going well at her job. Due to exhaustion, she injured her finger, and her father gave her first aid. Lu's mother called the company to inquire about a bonus, only to learn that she had been fired because she wasn't performing well. This made her extremely upset. Lu had been observing her mother for a few days, and noticed she was troubled. When she asked her grandfather, he said it was probably due to work pressure. That evening, everyone ate together in a cheerful atmosphere. However, Lu's mother didn't want anyone to notice her struggles, so she put on a fake smile and continued with her routine. Just then, Lu's grandmother brought rice wine for them. Grandma brought it. Colors should not drink wine. Lu says she takes something different from rice wine, which makes her a little tipsy. All her friends' videos are coming out tomorrow, where everyone wishes each other a happy new year. Meanwhile, Sri Chand gets quite surprised seeing Lu with someone. He goes to talk to them. Aluminium gets too drunk, so someone disconnects and comes to handle him. Lu tends to overdo things, and suddenly, someone comes tomorrow, shouting and saying, But you are talking to him, right? You won't talk to him and you won't talk to me either because I've been noticing something about you both. You have been getting very close with him since morning. I have understood that you only like those who are good at studying. That's why I'm asking, can't you change this criterion of yours? It's very difficult. I can't do it, and apart from this, I am very good at many things. Dancing, video games, and kung fu. If so, then she goes to show him kung fu. That's why he asked, can't you like me? If so, she falls asleep in his arms, and in my heart I thought, I like you a lot. After dropping Lou at her home, he returns to his house, where he misses his mom a lot. So he calls to wish her a happy new year, but she doesn't pick up the phone. Ever since his grandfather passed away, they have been facing financial problems. Because of this, his mom and grandfather started fighting, and it escalated too much. His mom was frustrated with his grandfather, so she left the house. He tried hard to stop her, but when she looked at the clock, she decided she would come back. She sat in the car and left, crying and scared. He ran after her, but his mom didn't stop. He wakes up and sees that his mom had called in the morning to wish him a happy new year. He was still a little afraid. His grandpa gave him a red envelope as a gift. After this, grandma was going back, and Lou's mom and grandfather went to drop her off. She was told not to eat junk food, but the spicy hot pot caused her food poisoning. In front of everyone, she acted like she wouldn't eat, but later, she went to get the spicy hot pot. Meanwhile, someone had been in a bad mood all day. Seeing Lou celebrating, the comic store owner figured that it must be about some girl. So he tells Switch about how to impress girls and even teaches some flirting skills. Just then, a girl enters the shop, so he goes to flirt with her. He asks for a recommendation for a romantic love story book, but at that moment he receives a message from Lou saying she has bought a lot of snacks and is inviting everyone to. The rest of the friends were busy with work, so he thinks of it as a date and goes. Lou couldn't resist and ended up eating too much, which caused food poisoning and a fever. Somehow she calls Horn, who rushes to her house and calls an ambulance. However, due to heavy rain, the ambulance is delayed. Seeing this, he prepares to take her to the hospital himself. Because of Lou's weight, he struggles under the pressure, making it hard for him to walk. He tries to carry her, but after walking some distance, he collapses and falls with her. At that moment, Shinchan appears holding flowers. Seeing Horn, he runs towards him and lifts Lou, realizing that she has a very high fever. He says, I will carry Lou so I can take her to the hospital quickly, holding his hand to stop him, but Season says, the world's fever is too high, so I have to go. You can come later and rest. This makes Khan feel deeply inadequate. He's not even capable of taking someone to the hospital in such a situation. Somehow in fear, they reach the hospital. He calls Aluminium's mom and tells her that Shinchan brought Lou to the hospital while he is at home. He lied because he was feeling extremely guilty. He couldn't even bring Lou to the hospital due to his disability. Feeling defeated, he returns home. On the way, he sees Lou's mom and grandfather walking in the rain, holding an umbrella, coming to bring her in the car. Here, a flashback is shown. He was running behind his mother's car, and at that time, he suddenly came in front of Lou's grandfather's car, which resulted in his accident. Returning to the present, he says, because of you, I am in this condition today. The person I wanted to protect fainted in front of me, but I couldn't even take her to the hospital. I said sorry, but I was just trying to fulfill my duty. Then he leaves in anger. The episode then shows their childhood. Some kids were bullying his sister, and Lou protected her. She said, I will always protect you. He replied, but I am older than you, so I should protect you. Then he added, when I grow up, I will be taller than you, and then I will protect you from everything. Lou responded, until then, I will protect you from everything. They both made a promise. In the present, Lou wakes up feeling much better. Her fever has gone down, and her mom and grandfather are preparing for her discharge. She waits for him and tells her mom to hurry up. Then she asks, where is he? Her mom replies, he was busy with his studies, so he didn't come. Lou thinks back and says, I remember he carried me. Her mom says, maybe you dreamed about it because Shinchan was the one who brought you here. You should thank him. Meanwhile, Shinchan is practicing basketball with his coach and looks very happy. He tells his coach, yesterday I helped Lou. I carried her in the rain and brought her to the hospital. Maybe now she will be impressed by me. His coach asks, did she say anything? A thank you or anything else? He replies, no, she wasn't conscious at the time, and when her mom and grandfather arrived, I left. His coach then says, maybe she doesn't even know that you brought her to the hospital. This thought lingers in his mind. Just then he receives a message from Lou saying, thank you. He becomes extremely happy. Later, Lou asks him about Hani and whether he was with her yesterday. He doesn't remember much but recalls that his artificial leg was slightly damaged, yet he still made it to the hospital, even if he stumbled a bit. He was very worried about Lu. He tells Sachin to go check on him, but he refuses. Lu wants to tell the truth, but doesn't want to lie either. So she tells him, yes, you didn't come. Her discharge formalities are completed, and she returns home with her mom and grandfather. Meanwhile, Khan doesn't feel good about lying. Lu later visits his house to meet him, but he tells everyone to let her rest. Lu asks, why didn't you reply to my message since morning? Are you avoiding me? He replies, I didn't see your message. Lu then asks, you brought me to the hospital, right? He hesitates and says, no. Season brought you. Lu replies, no, I clearly remember that you carried me from my house. He says, you must have dreamed it because of your fever. Lu insists, I know the difference between a dream and reality, but why are you avoiding me? He responds, I was just busy with my studies, and the truth is I didn't take you to the hospital. Lu asks, is there something bothering you? You can tell me? But he remains silent. Seeing his reaction, Lu says, if you keep behaving like this, I will never talk to you again. Even after this, he says nothing, so she leaves. At home, she sits in front of the TV, feeling very upset. Seeing her, her grandfather approaches to talk to her. She says, what happened to him? He is not even talking to me properly. I don't know what's bothering him, but if he has a problem, he should tell me. I could have helped him solve it. Her grandfather, knowing the real reason for his sadness, tells her, sometimes there are things that we can't share with others. Maybe this is one of those things. Give him some time and he will be fine. Lu says, but I should have been told. Grandpa says, maybe he didn't want you to worry about him, which is why he didn't tell you. So don't worry. Everything will be fine between you two. Lu doesn't disturb him for a few days. After the winter break, when school reopens, Lu goes to his house in the morning to call him so they can go to school together. But his grandfather tells her that he had already left early for school. Meanwhile, he is seen trying to run, but no matter how much he tries, he just can't do it. This makes him feel extremely disappointed in himself, and he becomes very angry about his disability. Lu, on the other hand, also leaves for school. In class, Channel tells everyone that he practiced basketball the entire winter vacation and is confident that this time he will be selected for the school team. Season doesn't believe that Cha-Cha actually wished him good luck, so he starts teasing him. Cha-Cha gets annoyed and yells at him. Shin-chan asks, why did you wish me good luck like that? Cha-Cha replies, you have been practicing for a long time, so I just wished you good luck. At that moment, Lu enters the classroom looking upset. Seeing her mood, they ask her what happened and guess that she must be upset because of Horn. Lu asks, how do you know? Channel nervously responds, I don't know, I just guessed. Just then, the teacher arrives and tells everyone to carefully think about which team they want to join for studies. However, Lu is lost in thoughts about him. As soon as the school day ends, she rushes to his classroom and starts walking home with him. He remains completely silent. Lu asks him, what's wrong? Why aren't you talking to me? You have been avoiding me for days, and this morning, you didn't even come with me to school. He replies, I am busy preparing for the National Olympiad. Lu says, then from tomorrow, I will wake up early and come to school with you. He responds, why do we always have to come together? Lu says, because we have been together since childhood, so before school and after school, you will have to wait for me. Without answering, he walks ahead. In the room, she asks him which stream he is going to choose. He replies, science, obviously. Lu hesitates and says, but you always make the right choices for me too, so help me this time as well. He starts walking away. Lu, holding back tears, asks, what's wrong? You always help me, so what are you worried about now? Grandpa said everything would be fine in a few days, but it has been so long and you are still not okay. He finally speaks. Because no matter what, I have to accept my situation. Unlike others, I won't get options like they do. I am just like everyone else, so why does everyone else get choices but I don't? Saying this, he leaves. Lu, confused, doesn't understand why he said all this. At home, her mom and grandfather check her marks and discuss what she should choose. Her grades in all arts-related subjects were very good, while her scores in science and math were slightly lower. Her dad tells her to take arts, but her mom insists she should take science. Like most parents, she believes that studying science will lead to a better job. This leads to an argument between her mom and grandfather. The next day in the school library, everyone is discussing their choices. Cha-Cha is clear that she will take science and go into the medical field. Meanwhile, Gogo and Season don't care much because they want to become national basketball players. However, she is confused as she got scores between 60 and 70 in all subjects. She looks up and sees him, but he turns away. Shin-chan notices this and asks her, did something happen between you two? But he simply picks up a book and leaves. At home, Lu's mom has been noticing for days that Lu stays alone in her room. She doesn't even go to meet him, and he hasn't come to their house either. They no longer study together, so she decides to talk to her father-in-law about it. Grandpa sighs and tells her everything, explaining that it all started because of his accident. Lu suddenly, because of his disability, he couldn't take her to the hospital, which made him extremely frustrated with his condition. He kept blaming himself, thinking that if Season hadn't arrived on time, they wouldn't have been able to take Lu to the hospital. This made him recall the car accident again, and he thought, it wasn't even my fault, right? It's not because of me that she ended up like this. Grandpa comes to check on him and invites him to their house for dinner. He tells them that he is busy preparing for the National Olympiad. He also felt terrible for saying so much to Uncle the previous night. Mr. advises him to focus on his studies. The next day, Channel and Gogo participate in basketball tryouts, where they both perform well. In the evening, Lu meets them, and they help clear her confusion about choosing between science and arts. They tell her to choose whatever her heart desires. However, Lu is still lost in thoughts about him. Seeing her so worried, Season finally tells her the truth. It was actually Rattan who was carrying you to the hospital, but just before reaching it, he couldn't carry you anymore and collapsed. Then I picked you up and took you the rest of the way. After that, despite stumbling, he still made it to the hospital. He was extremely worried about you, but he asked me not to tell you. Lu asks why. Season replies, I don't know, but on the way I saw him with your grandfather, and they didn't seem to be talking normally. Lu finally understands that all of this happened because of his car accident. She realizes that she should have told him about the accident from the start. She also understands that maybe Grandpa never told him because he knew that Rattan would never be able to forgive him. She thinks, maybe that's why he doesn't want to be friends with me. I've always treated him like my brother and friend, but I never even asked him if he wanted to be my friend in the first place. Maybe I shouldn't keep forcing him now. Season tells her that's not true. You shouldn't think that way. The next day at school, Proton starts practicing to help Lu. Sitting in one place, he begins thinking about whether he should choose science or arts. He doesn't realize that someone is sitting behind him, and he keeps talking to himself, saying, based on my marks and performance, I should take arts. But if you want to take science, I will help you with that too. From behind, Suba suddenly says, why are you struggling with all this? If you want to tell her, just go and tell her. He's about to respond when he notices Lu approaching with Shivaji, so he quickly sits down in front of Suba. Meanwhile, in the basketball, the team selection results are announced. Some people get selected, but this time Vishesh doesn't make it. Gogo says, how is this possible? Could your grandfather be behind this? Season replies, no, he is busy with his own work right now. The basketball team captain comes and wishes him the best of luck, encouraging him to work harder and try again next time. Feeling overwhelmed, he goes alone to the comic store and sits there. After a while, Search comes and tells him, Gogo is really worried about you, and here you are sitting in the comic store. She then adds, one thing I don't understand. Why are you so obsessed with basketball when you're not even that good at it? You've been rejected from the school team twice. That means you should understand that you're not as talented as the other players. You should try something else, and you shouldn't take this failure so seriously. Just then, the shop owner comes and notices that Chacha is crying. He wipes his face and tries to act like everything is fine, saying, I'm okay. But Chacha feels deeply sorry for him. After school, Lu sees Khan but just walks away, ignoring him. Seeing this, Song Trailer approaches and tells him, Lu didn't wait for me today. She even had lunch alone, chose her subject alone, and said that she doesn't want to depend on me anymore. I said all those things to her in anger, but without her, I don't feel good. Even though I am with everyone, I still feel lonely. That night, Horn has a dream in which Lu doesn't recognize him. Another family is living in Lu's house, and she is always with Season. He wakes up suddenly from his sleep. In the morning, he immediately calls his doctor and asks for suggestions on how he can run faster and carry weight. The doctor advises him to do as much physical exercise as possible, but under the supervision of a professional trainer. He also suggests that he replace his old artificial leg with a more flexible one. Horn starts searching online for hydraulic artificial legs and finds that the price is Rs 30,000. To save money to buy it, he decides to work even harder on physical exercises. Meanwhile, Channel and Gogo are sitting together discussing Search and Lu. They feel bad for Season and wonder if he might leave the school team. Lu says, no, he loves basketball too much. Chacha asks, do you think Season will agree to this? Lu replies, maybe yes. Season then says, fine, I won't join the team. But before I make my final decision, show me that you can block me in basketball. Shinchin goes to block him, but Gogo intercepts. Season then says, now do you understand why they selected you for the team and not me? That's why you should play for the team. I will always support you. Don't worry about me. I will work even harder and make it to the team next time. Both friends become very happy. Lou realizes that Season isn't as selfish as she thought. Cha-Cha, on the other hand, regrets the things she said to Season at the comic store. She apologizes to him, and Season is shocked because South Indians rarely say sorry to each other. Since the beginning, they never got along well. She tells him, people who change their dreams deserve respect. From now on, you have my full respect and support. Season is very surprised and happy to hear this. A while later, Lou notices that the students in their class are going to the second floor. When she asks her classmates, she finds out that their new homeroom teacher has arrived. The teacher has already started enforcing strict rules, which makes Lou worried about Horn. She keeps thinking, he will have to climb up and down the stairs multiple times. That night, Mr. Luhan meets Lou's grandfather and gives him money to buy a new artificial leg for Horn. He asks him to buy it himself because he believes Horn might still be upset with him. The next morning, Horn's grandfather transfers the money from his account and buys the hydraulic artificial leg for him. Horn asks, "Where did you get so much money from?" His grandfather replies, "I won the lottery." So, Horn buys the hydraulic artificial leg. At school, Lou and her gang plan to teach their classmates a lesson. During the students' physical examination, Lou and Channel wear masks and hide one shoe from each of the troublemaking classmates. They struggle to find their shoes, and Lou warns them not to bother Horn again. She adds, "This time it was just your shoes that went missing. Next time something else might disappear too." Gogo jokingly says, "Got it, if you mess with him again, next time even your socks might disappear." Shinchan whispers, "You just turned our threatening dialogue into a joke. How will they take us seriously now?" The troublemakers panic, throw their shoes aside, and run away. Season is relieved, thinking they won't recognize who did it. However, from their reaction, others seem to figure it out. They decide to report this to the teacher, but just then, Shreya stops them and says, "You all got so frustrated just because you lost one shoe. Now imagine Horn's situation. He doesn't even have one leg. Try to understand his pain." He continues, "We all study in the same class. Our class is the best in school. We have won so many medals and prizes, making our class proud. And at the forefront is our friend. So shouldn't we support our friend instead? He has been standing in the sun all this time, waiting for you all. At least he is trying. We should encourage him. After all, we are a team, aren't we?" Finally, one by one, the students start joining him in the march. Seeing this, the teachers are very pleased. However, Lou and her gang are shocked, wondering how the classmates changed so quickly. Lou starts thinking, if what we did to our classmates didn't feel right to them, then... The scene cuts to Horn waiting at the bus stop. As soon as Lou arrives, she hesitates, unsure if Horn is still angry with her. Horn chases after her to stop her and happily blocks her path. Lou asks, "Why are you running?" Horn replies, "I was running after you to catch you." She then asks, "How did you suddenly run so fast? Doesn't your leg hurt?" "No, it doesn't hurt." Horn says, "Don't worry, I got a new artificial leg and this one is much more flexible." He then asks, "Why were you silent all this time?" Lou replies, "Because you didn't want to talk to me, right?" She continues, "I know that you had a fight with Grandpa last night, which is why you were in a bad mood, but I'm sorry because I forced you to be my friend since childhood." Horn says, "That's not true. In fact, I should be the one apologizing. I also said a lot of things to Uncle last night and spoke to you rudely." Lou says, "Then our apologies cancel each other out. That means we are friends again, right?" Horn nods. "Yes, forever." Both of them were happy when suddenly a bicycle came speeding towards them. Horn quickly pulled Lou towards him to save her, but in the process, Lou sprained her leg. Since she couldn't walk properly, Horn carried her on his back. Lou protested, but Horn said, "I can carry you now." So he carried her all the way home. Back when Lou first tried to be friends with Horn, he wouldn't talk to her at all. Lou kept trying to talk to him, and eventually, she found out what he was interested in. She brought him a superhero book and read its story to him. Horn really liked the story, and that was how their friendship began. The next day in class, the teacher announced that on the day of the Barrett meeting, every class would also have to perform a drill. The teacher asked the class for drill theme ideas. Kitchen wanted a ninja-themed drill, but the teacher immediately rejected the idea and insisted on an educational theme. Meanwhile, Horn's class was also performing well. He was now matching the pace of his classmate. The teacher then introduced the drill performance to them and assigned Horn the responsibility of organizing the drill formation. After school, they both went home and decided on their team. Horn initially didn't want to show the theme to Lou, but she managed to sneak a look. Since she didn't understand it, Horn explained it to her. The theme was Unity is Strength. In the final part of the act, a student would have to fall from a height, and the rest of the classmates would catch them together, symbolizing their class unity. Lou really liked the idea. When Horn told the teacher about the theme, the teacher asked them to choose someone for the final act to represent their class unity by falling from the height. All the students unanimously chose Horn because he was the reason their class had become united. The teacher also liked their decision, but Horn looked deep in thought. Meanwhile, in the 400-meter relay race, Horn had decided that if he won, he would confess his feelings for Lou in front of the entire school when he went on stage to receive the medal. He also planned to dedicate his victory to Lou. After all, Season wasn't afraid of anyone, especially since the school belonged to his grandfather. To learn more about his opponents, he went to G and asked for her diary. Since South Indian students always kept information about all the boys in their diary, G refused at first, but Season said, "Then, I'll tell everyone that the class topper, you, secretly reads romantic novels." G immediately agreed and lent him her diary, but only for the day. Season was shocked to see that the diary contained detailed information about all the handsome and talented boys in school. One of the names listed was a contestant in the gym competition, whom Chachu had given a very low score. Season quickly hid this information from Gogo and started reading about his opponent's strengths. Meanwhile, Lou, who's a very talented artist, beautifully decorates the classroom board. At the same time, Kshetra secretly returns Chacha's diary to her. When Shaji checks it, she notices that someone has altered their scores. She immediately corrects them. Just then, the teacher announces that Horn has fainted on the ground. Lou rushes to the medical room, where Horn has regained consciousness. He was checked due to excessive practice under the sun, which had slightly affected his health. The next morning, Suba requests the teacher to let someone else perform the final act in place of Horn. The teacher agrees. Lou arrives and hands Horn some medicine, already knowing that he wouldn't back down. He wanted to do the act himself. She tells him, "Take the medicine and get ready quickly." But Horn was still unsure whether his classmates would be able to catch him or not, so he remains lost in thought. Later, he approaches Dobara and says, "You've read a lot of romantic novels, so you must know how to write a love letter. Write a beautiful love letter for me." Chacha, already aware that Horn liked Lou, asks, "Are you planning to give this to Lou?" Kitchen writes a poem filled with complex words, making it sound very grand. Kitchen is thrilled, but when Horn notices how much Shaji is smiling, he starts to feel a bit awkward. Perhaps she had started to like Season. Meanwhile, Lou takes Horn to a spot where she climbs up to a height and tells him, "You have to catch me, because I'm going to let go of my hands." Then she lets go, making Horn instinctively catch her. She wanted to show him that just as she trusted him to catch her, he should also trust his classmates to catch him. Horn finally understands. After everyone finishes their parade, Horn's class begins their drill performance. Everyone performs exceptionally well. When it is Horn's turn, he feels a bit nervous, so Lou steps forward and starts recording a video of him to cheer him on. Seeing this, all the students and teachers start cheering for Horn. He takes the leap and falls onto his classmates, who successfully catch him. Everyone is extremely happy. Lou then edits the clip of his fall into a loop and repeatedly plays it for him, showing him how well he did. Horn thanks her for cheering for him. As he walks back to class, he overhears Season talking near the window while reading the love letter. Season is full of confidence and says to himself, "Today, you will definitely be impressed by me." A while later, everyone gathers, getting ready for the relay race. The relay race begins, with Lou's class being represented by Lou, Channel, Gogo, and Ani. Lou passes the baton to Gogo, but he is slightly late in passing it to Season. However, Season runs with all his might and is the first to touch the finish line, securing victory for Lou's class. Channel steps up and tells his class that he has an important announcement, so he will go on stage to receive the prize on behalf of their class. When he reaches the stage, he carries his letter with him. Since Suba was the announcer, he tells him to read the letter while handing over the prize. His grandfather, the principal, arrives to present the prizes. Meanwhile, instead of Chucha, Horn ends up reaching the stage to read the letter. As soon as he starts reading, Season realizes that something is wrong and panics. And just as he feared, the love-filled letter gets redirected towards his grandfather. Season's grandfather is overjoyed and gets emotional, happily embracing him, leaving Season completely shocked. The principal is so happy that he posts the poem, which was originally meant for Lou, on the school's notice board. Season, on the other hand, is extremely frustrated. Gogo tells him, "Well, at least one good thing came out of this. Your relationship with your grandfather is now fixed, so think positively and be happy about it. But Season is not someone who gives up so easily. That night, Horn goes outside to throw out the garbage when he runs into Lou. Feeling guilty, he apologizes for the day's events. Then he invites her to have dinner together. While eating, Lou asks, "You were the one who gave the money for the artificial leg, weren't you?" But Mr. L denies it and says, "No, it was your grandfather. He worries about you a lot, but he just doesn't know how to express it. That's why he saved up and managed to buy your new artificial leg." Mr. L also wanted Horn and his grandfather to repair their relationship. Since Horn never spoke to his grandfather, the distance between them only grew. His grandfather's loneliness had turned him into an alcoholic. Eventually, everything between them gets resolved. The next day is the last class for everyone because after the vacation, they will move on to grade 2, where their classes will be divided into science and arts streams. Everyone is shocked and sad that they will be separated into different classes. So, all the friends decide to spend their vacation together. A few months later, the results of Lou's first monthly test are announced. Lou had failed 2 subjects, which made her extremely worried about her mother's reaction. Meanwhile, Rich passed, but his marks were not great, so his grandfather called him to his office. He tells him to quit basketball and instead pursue law or medical studies. However, Season somehow convinces him to let him continue playing basketball. His grandfather agrees, but sets a condition. From now on, he must pass every exam with a high rank and score in the top 200 in the college entrance exam. Only then will he be allowed to take admission into Bharat University. Sachin accepts his challenge. Afraid of her mother's anger, Lou forges her mother's signature on the monthly test paper. Meanwhile, Lou's mother was struggling to find a new job, but things were not working out financially, and she was worried about running the household. Just then, Lou's class teacher calls her director. Lou's grandfather, who was once a taxi driver, had to go to work, so her mother arrived at the school instead. As soon as she learns about Lou's test results and notices her forged signature, she gets furious and rushes towards Lou's class. Seeing Lou with Gogo, her mother gets angry and rushes to her class, calling her name. When Lou sees the exam papers, she panics and quickly runs out of the class. Her mother chases after her, and in the meantime, Romeo runs to Horn's class, where Horn tries to calm Lou's mother down. However, her mother tells him, "Come home first, then we'll see." Panicking, Lou seeks Horn's help and asks him to praise her in front of her mother. Horn replies, "But for that, you have to do something praiseworthy first." So, Horn says he will tutor her. Meanwhile, Lou's mother is still struggling to find a job, which makes her worried about managing the household. She then declares that from now on, she will no longer take responsibility for Horn. Grandpa opposes this, leading to another argument. Lou intervenes and calms them down, but their fights continue, growing worse day by day. Season, meanwhile, becomes worried about his studies because he had accepted his grandfather's challenge to rank within the top 200 in every upcoming exam. He goes to study at his mother's place, surprising Horn and Lou, who could hardly believe that Season was actually there to study. He says, "I really want to study," and sets a challenge for himself to complete the question papers for all subjects in a single day. Taking the question papers, Season leaves. At home, Lou's mother and grandfather are still arguing. When her mother learns that Grandpa used all his savings to buy an artificial leg, she becomes even angrier, escalating the fight to the point of discussing divorce. Just then, Lou's mother finds out that Grandpa is unwell, so she goes to take care of him. When Lou returns home, her grandfather does not mention the fight. He only tells her that her mother went to check on Grandpa. Determined to make her mother happy, Lou focuses entirely on her studies, determined to perform well in the exams. The next day, Lou and Channel study with full dedication. They spend all their time studying, and Channel even stops going to play basketball. Everyone was shocked to see this, especially his teammates, who were used to his presence on the court. Seeing their seriousness, one of their friends, who admired their dedication, decided to sit between them and help with their studies. Finally, the day of the monthly exam arrives. Both Lou and Season perform excellently. Lou secures the 49th rank, while Season ranks within the top 200. Excited, Lou rushes to share the good news. She calls out to him from outside the window, announcing her rank. Horn is very happy for her. Meanwhile, Season goes to show his results to his grandfather. Seeing his success, Grandpa allows him to continue playing basketball, making Season extremely happy. Lou returns home and tells her mother the good news. Her mother, Mumtaz, is overjoyed. But then, she suddenly asks a question that leaves everyone shocked. She asks, "Do you want to stay only with me?" Lou realizes that her mom and grandpa might be getting a divorce, which makes her extremely anxious. Seeing her like this, Horn comes to talk to her. Lou tells him everything, and he encourages her to stay positive. Even at school, Lou remains absent-minded, unable to focus in class or study properly, which worries her friends. Channel, Shochai, and Gogo try to cheer her up. Lu tells them, "I think my mom and grandpa are going to get divorced." To distract her, Gogo gives her an exclusive pass to the comic store, knowing that comics might help lift her mood. Meanwhile, the teacher notices that Lu hasn't been paying attention in class for days and hasn't completed her homework. Horn requests the teacher not to inform her parents, promising to take care of her studies. His sister started feeling guilty, thinking she might have caused the fight between Lu's mom and grandpa. She goes to talk to Uncle L, but he reassures her that this is not the case. To cheer Lu up, Horn comes up with an idea: the wishing tree. The next day, he starts making a wishing tree with Suba's help, turning an ordinary tree into something special. After completing it, he gives Lu a special coin. She takes it and goes to make a wish. Horn accompanies her that day because the weather was terrible. When they reach the wishing tree, Lu accidentally drops the coin into the wishing pond. Determined to retrieve it, she steps into the freezing water. Horn tells her to come out, but she refuses, saying she won't leave without the coin. So Horn also steps into the water to help her search for it. Lu, worried about him, urges him to get out, but Horn reassures her, "I'll be fine." Together, they continue searching until they finally find the coin. Lu makes a wish. "I hope my parents always stay together and our family never falls apart." A flashback reveals that Horn had also come to this wishing tree as a child and made a wish. Lu had seen this back then, which is why she believed in it so strongly. When Lu returns home, she finds out that her mother had called. She is coming back with Grandpa and Grandma. Overjoyed, Lu becomes extremely happy. Meanwhile, Horn learns from his grandfather that Uncle L had lent the money for his artificial leg, which was the reason behind the fight between Lu's mom and Grandpa. Horn had already realized this earlier, so he decided not to trouble them anymore. He calls his mom and tells her, "I want to stay with you." He then starts preparing for his move abroad. The next day, Lu's mom returns, and Lu is overjoyed to see her. Lu asks her to take care of Grandma, while her mom and Grandpa go to the hospital to check on Grandpa. To ensure everyone's safety, Lu makes bracelets by hand. She visits the hospital with Don Juan to give Grandpa his bracelet. When she returns home, she also brings a bracelet for Horn. Horn had already told his grandfather about his plan to go abroad, which made his grandfather extremely upset. When Lu hears about this, she becomes very distressed. The next day, on the way to school, Horn is listening to music. Lu takes one of his earphones, only to realize he was actually listening to an English lecture. She gets very angry and says, "Are you really in such a hurry to leave?" If he had taken the bus alone, she wouldn't have spoken to him at all. From now on, she decides to ignore him, which worries their friends even more. Meanwhile, Season's mother had already arranged his travel plans. However, in the new country, she had rented a separate apartment for Horn instead of letting him stay with her. She had a new family now. Hearing this, Horn is shocked and asks, "So you don't want to live with me?" His mother replies, "I have a new family now, and I'm afraid you won't be able to adjust with them. You're also grown up now, so you need to learn to be independent." Horn feels even more upset. He remembers how after his accident, his mother had only visited him once to give him some money and had asked him not to wait for her, but she had promised, "One day I will come back for you." Lu had heard this and had comforted him back then, hugging him and saying, "I will always be with you." Because of this, Horn decides that he will not leave Lu behind. Meanwhile, Lu's grandmother goes out to the market. Horn hears about this and goes with Lu's mother to search for her. Some people try to steal money from Lu's grandmother. Her grandfather sees this and calls for help. The thieves run away after being hit. Grandfather brings Lu's grandmother back safely. Lu's mother thanks him, and then he tells Horn's grandfather, "I threw away your passport." When Lu asks him why, Horn arrives to drop them off at home. Later, Lu and her grandfather decide to buy a new sofa to make her mother happy, since the old one was very worn out. However, when her mother sees the new sofa, she gets even angrier, saying that they shouldn't be wasting money at a time like this. Lu tries to explain, "We only did this to make you happy so that you wouldn't leave home." Meanwhile, Horn stops Lu from eating more, but Lu snaps at him, saying, "You're leaving me anyway, so don't even talk to me." She runs to her room. Later, her grandfather talks to Horn. He tells him, "If you are leaving just because of your grandfather, then you can go. But if you think you are a burden to us, I do not support that thought. We have never considered you an outsider in our family. And as for Lu's parents' fight, it is not because of you. It is my own failure to manage my family that led to this fight, so don't worry about it." Afterward, her grandfather also goes to talk to Lu. Lu then goes to the hospital to meet her mother. She asks her directly, "Are you going to divorce Grandpa?" Her mother replies, "No." Finally, Lu feels relieved. However, she still worries about Horn. Shinchan, Gogo, and Shaji are also concerned, thinking about how to help Lu since her family situation is complicated, and now Horn is also planning to leave. At that moment, Kitchen says, Horn is about to leave soon. Meanwhile, Horn reflects on everything and decides that he does not want Lu's family to suffer because of him. Season calls Horn and directly asks him, why do you want to leave? Horn replies, for Lu, if I leave, her life will be better. Kitchen says, if you care about her that much, you should stay. He then adds jokingly, actually, I'd rather have you leave and go far away so that Lu will be really sad without you. I don't want to leave, but if you really have to go, I will take care of her because I like her, and I can't just stand by and watch. By the way, what do you think? Does she like me or not? After saying this, he leaves. Meanwhile, Season was preparing to confess his feelings to Lu. Gogo asks, if you confess, do you think he will cancel his plans to leave? Kitchen replies, if I were in his place, I wouldn't leave. So both of them make numerous paper planes together. At home, Lu is talking to her grandfather. She thanks him, saying, if Horn is leaving for his studies and future, then we should support him. Hearing this, Lu becomes even more upset. To cheer her up, her grandfather takes her out for a walk. The next day at school, Channel and Gogo go to the top of the school building. After spotting Lu, they throw all the paper planes down. Lu notices this. Just then, Kitchen takes the microphone and calls out Lu's name. He tells her that the names of all the countries in the world are written on these paper planes. He declares, wherever you want to go, I will take you there. I can't bear to see you sad. Horn, watching from a distance, sees all of this. As Season goes to confess his feelings, the microphone stops working. Lu starts walking up to the rooftop. Meanwhile, Shaji secretly keeps one of the paper planes in her diary. Just as Season is about to reach Lu, she gets to him first and asks, what were you going to say? Channel quickly blurts out, I like you. Hearing this, Sohoon walks away, saying, I'm not going to fall for your confession. Season, now serious, says, no, I truly like you. Lu responds, but I already like someone else. Season had expected this, but it still hurt him. So he laughs it off and says, I was just joking, and you actually believed it. Lu gets annoyed and chases after him. Horn returns home, where his grandfather had already locked his passport, signaling that he was not going anywhere. Meanwhile, at the library, Shaji asks Lu, do you really think Season was just joking? Lu replies, yes, that's what he told me. Shaji sighs and says, I can't hide it from you anymore. He really likes you. Today, his confession was genuine. Gogo and I also knew about it, but Season asked us not to tell you. Lu, shocked by this revelation, doesn't know how to face Season now. Talking to him would be too awkward, so she decides to avoid him. Later, Lu checks her diary and sees that Suba ranked first in the recent exams. Since he was at the top of Shaji's diary ranking, she asks him, are you going to confess to Suba now? Shaji had always wanted to date someone with a perfect score, so she decides to meet Suba and directly asks him out on a date. She tells him, according to my calculations, you are the most perfect person to date. That's why I like you. Suba replies, that's not how love works. Love comes from the heart, not from calculations. With such calculations, you will never meet your Mr. Perfect. When you do meet him, your heart will tell you. And so, Shaji also gets rejected. Meanwhile, Horn sits by the seaside, writing a goodbye note for Lu. Elsewhere, Shinchan is lying on the basketball court, looking very down. Shaji comes over and asks, are you crying again? Season replies, I knew this would happen, yet I still feel terrible. To cheer him up, Shaji takes him to a massive amusement park. She forces him to go on every dangerous ride, bringing Kitchen along with them. Kitchen gets so scared that he nearly collapses from fear, but at least Season forgets about his rejection for a while. After going on so many rides, both of them sit down to talk, where Shaji shares the story of her rejection. Shinchan responds, wow, your situation is just like mine. Maybe we are both just unlucky. But I believe that someday we will meet the right person who will truly love us, and we will be very happy. Cha-Cha says, today, I feel really happy. Season adds, even though I was scared, I am also very happy. As they laugh together, their eyes meet, creating a slightly awkward moment between them. The next day, at a convenience store, Season meets Channel. A small moment of connection occurs between them, but Season reassures her, there is no need for awkwardness between us. We have always been good friends, and we will always remain best buddies. Lu also slows down and buys a lot of snacks for Season. Both of them happily head towards their class. Just then, they see Horn walking ahead. Seeing them together, Horn silently turns and walks in another direction. Lu follows him to talk. She says, it's okay, I'm sorry that I have to leave at a time like this. Lu, who wasn't there to stop him, replies, it's all right. I'm happy for you. You're going to study at a great place. As your childhood friend, I shouldn't ask you to stay. Just take care of yourself there. She then gives him the bracelet she had made by hand. With a fake smile on her face, she says goodbye and walks away. After that, Lou heads to the seaside to calm herself down. She tries to reassure herself, it's good that he is leaving. Now, no one will scold me if I get bad grades. No one will force me to study. I can skip school whenever I want. Meanwhile, after school, Horn is returning home with Suba. Suba, already aware of everything, asks him, do you really think Lou will be happy if you leave? And tell me honestly, will you be happy without her? Before making his final decision, he tells him to think carefully. Once you leave, you won't be able to turn back. You might regret it. Hearing his friend's words, Horn finally realizes something. So he turns his bicycle around and rushes to find Lou. Meanwhile, Lou stumbles upon Horn's laptop at their special place. Horn had deliberately left it there for her in the morning because he knew that if Lou was upset, she would come here. When she turns on the laptop, she finds a message from Horn that he had written for her but never sent. She also finds a video recorded by him, a goodbye video. In the video, Horn starts from the beginning, sharing his childhood memories. When we were kids, I used to hate you. You always came to annoy me. I never talked to you, but you never gave up either. No matter what, you kept coming to see me and talking to me. Eventually, I got used to hearing your voice. That's how you became my first friend. We shared everything together. You protected me. Because of you, my childhood was happy. You never let me feel lonely. You taught me how to have fun. You fought for me against everyone. Because of you, I found the courage to keep going. You made me strong. Even after becoming physically disabled, you never made me feel weak. Instead, you made me even stronger. Because of you, I overcame all my insecurities. You did so much to keep me happy. Thanks to you, I have lived a happy life. I will never forget any of this. But now I'm about to make you sad, and for that I'm sorry. Next month, I will be going abroad. At the end of the message, he said goodbye. Lou bursts into tears after reading this and cries, please don't go. Just then, Horn arrives and says, okay, I won't go. Hearing his voice, Lou becomes overjoyed. She runs toward him, crying, and hugs him tightly. Horn embraces her in return. At the end of the episode, a childhood scene is shown. One day, Horn was about to use his grandfather's phone to call his mother after his grandfather fell asleep. However, his grandfather caught him and scolded him harshly. He was about to hit him when Lou arrived and bit his grandfather's hand hard. She grabbed Horn's hand and ran home with him. At home, she checked to see if his grandfather had hurt him. She gave him chocolate and said, if this ever happens again, call me. I will protect you. Horn, realizing he no longer had to leave, made Lou extremely happy. However, she was still sad that he wouldn't be able to meet his mother. Horn then tells her, it wouldn't matter to my mom whether I go there or not. That's why I want to stay here, where I have all of you. Lou reassures him, don't worry, I will always be with you. The next day, Horn visits Uncle L. Mr. L says, Lou told me you are not going abroad. If you're staying because you are worried about your grandfather or us, don't worry about it. Horn replies, it's not that, I feel comfortable here and this is my decision. Uncle L gives him a small pocket diary. In it, he had recorded every expense he had made for Horn since his childhood. Horn says, thank you so much for taking care of me all these years, Uncle. I promise I will return all the money soon. Mr. L rips up all the pages. He tells Horn that he never saw him as an outsider. He had always treated him like family and he did everything for him out of love. So he tells Horn, don't ever say such nonsense again. Afterward, they go home and have dinner together. While everyone is eating, Lou's mother receives a phone call with heartbreaking news. Grandpa has passed away. The next scene shows the funeral where all the family members are grieving deeply. Lou's grandfather tries to console her mother. Lou too is deeply saddened as she remembers her grandfather. Meanwhile, Horn's mother arrives and asks him to come abroad with her. She tells him that if he stays with his grandfather, his future will be ruined. Horn replies, you left me when I was a child. When you were driving away, I ran after the car, crying. I thought that maybe you would turn around and look at me at least once, but you didn't. That's when my accident happened. I thought you would come to the hospital to see me, but you never came, not even once. Every day, I waited for you to return. I prayed to God for you to come back, but you never did. I may not have the best life, but at least I have my grandfather. Maybe he wasn't the best father to you, and maybe you weren't the best mother to me, but I will fulfill my duty as a son, so you can be happy with your new family. I will stay here and take care of my grandfather. He then returns the watch that she had left for him before she left. Horn's mother walks out of the house, and just then, Horn's mother tries to talk to him, but he pushes her away. Just then, Horn arrives and says, think carefully before making a decision. You are ruining your life over this man. Your family is abroad, but my grandfather is my family, and taking care of him is my responsibility. At that moment, Lu's family also arrives in their car and sees them together. Horn's grandfather is overjoyed. Horn helps him inside the house. Later, Horn is alone on the terrace when Lu comes to talk to him. Horn shares everything with her about his mother, how she abandoned him, how he ran after her car in the middle of the road, and how he had his accident because of it. Despite all that, he still waited for his mother to return every day, but she never came back. Today, when she finally met him, he felt no warmth, only that she was a stranger to him. Lu comforts him. Meanwhile, Horn's grandfather had started a flower distribution business. Lu's grandfather notices this and comes to talk to him. At first, he refuses to believe that he's really doing this kind of work, but seeing how dedicated he is, he feels very proud of him. Horn's grandfather had completely quit gambling and was now determined to start a decent business so that Horn wouldn't have to suffer because of him. Meanwhile, Shaji was heading toward the basketball ground and Kitchen was coming from the other side. Upon seeing her, he quickly drinks all the water from his bottle. He then invites her to play basketball with him. However, he is unable to score a single basket. Shaji teases him about it. He then challenges her to score a basket. Shaji replies, "I don't know how to play." So Season starts teaching her how to shoot. As he gets closer to her, Shaji's heartbeat races, and she struggles to concentrate. Season holds her hand and helps her make a shot, which makes her even more nervous. She throws the ball, but it doesn't go into the basket. Instead, it rolls out of the court. The ball reaches Horn's grandfather, who happens to be nearby. They both return the ball together. Since Season recognized Lu's grandfather, he introduces everyone. Gogo and Sachin are shocked to learn that Horn is his grandson. Horn's grandfather then challenges them to a basketball match. Horn's uncles, along with Season, Channel, and Gogo, play against him. Horn's grandfather and his team end up winning the game. During the match, Season sprains his leg. Gogo takes him home because he had been acting overconfident before the match and had even warned the uncles to be careful while playing. But in the end, he was the one who got injured. Later, they all drink together, and Horn becomes emotional as he tells Lu's grandfather about his mother. He says, "She told me she wanted to live with me and called me her family. So, I've decided to leave my bad habits behind and live a decent life." Everyone is very happy to hear that. Meanwhile, Channel is seen feeling exceptionally happy with G. Gogo wonders why is he so happy even after losing the match. Channel ignores the question. Lu invites everyone for dinner. At their house, Horn's grandfather had already arrived, and Lu's grandfather was cooking for him. Everyone sits together for dinner. During the meal, Lu scolds her grandfather a little for his past gambling habits. Horn's grandfather apologizes to everyone, especially to her grandfather, and says, "From now on, I will start a proper business." Everyone is very happy to hear this. Horn also finally forgives his grandfather. The next day, Horn takes his college entrance exam and performs exceptionally well. He gets admission into Beijing University to study astrophysics. On the last day of school, Horn's grandfather also comes to pick him up. Seeing him, Horn feels very happy. Everyone starts preparing for Horn's departure to college. Horn brings study materials for Lu and tells her to focus on her studies because next year she will also have her college entrance exam. Lu promises him, "I will study hard and score well in the entrance exam." Horn then leaves for college. The next day, their final year of school begins. In class, Channel is sleeping while Gogo and Prami start teasing him about Shaji. Suddenly, he wakes up and says, "I will go with you guys." Shaji was about to teach them something, so Gogo and Prami tease him. "Why do you always become so active whenever it's about Shaji?" Hearing this, Channel falls silent. In the next scene, Shaji is teaching everyone, and Season is only looking at her. Lu and Gogo notice this. Meanwhile, Season is remembering what Shashi had told him about looking into a girl's eyes. Just then, Shaji notices him staring. Their eyes meet, and they keep looking at each other for a long time, unable to look away. Finally, Season looks away first. This reminds him of Shaji's words. If you look away first, it means you like her. Seeing both of them looking at each other like that, Lu starts teasing them. Their studies continue as usual. Horn keeps calling Lu to check on her studies. Meanwhile, Shaji and Sachin are getting closer. Lu finds history boring, so Horn sends her history books that contain a lot of pictures, making it more interesting, like reading comics. Horn waits all morning for Lu to call him back because he misses her a lot. However, Lu is so focused on her studies that she refuses to go anywhere, even during the upcoming holidays. Her grandfather wanted her to visit Beijing City to meet Horn, but she refuses. After many days without a call from Lu, Horn finally calls her himself and gives her a math problem to solve. The answer to the problem was, "I love you." But Lu is so engrossed in her studies that she doesn't even solve it. While practicing exam questions, she starts feeling extremely nervous and even has nightmares about failing her exam. She becomes even more stressed and loses sleep over it. Horn misses her a lot because they hadn't spoken in days. When he finds out that Lu is feeling stressed about her exams, he decides to return home during the national holidays. He visits her school to meet her. He helps her with her studies, and now there were only a few days left until the college entrance exam. Horn decides that he will leave only after Lu's exams are over. As the exam day approaches, everyone at home becomes anxious for Lu, but Lu stays calm and focused on her studies. Finally, the exam day arrives. Everyone goes with Lu to drop her off at the exam center, but once they arrive, they realize that she forgot her admit card at home. There were only 30 minutes left before the gates closed. Horn rushes back home and returns just in time with the admit card, allowing Lu to enter before the deadline. A few days later, the exam results are announced. Lu scores excellent marks and gets admission to the same university as Horn. She is extremely happy that she will be able to stay with him again. Meanwhile, Gogo gets selected. Gogo gets selected for the provincial basketball team. All his friends are extremely happy for him. Everyone takes pictures with him. Shaji also goes to take a photo with him, which makes her brother feel uneasy. So Lu and Gogo push both of them together, making them stand close to each other. They quickly take pictures of them, causing both to blush slightly. After this, Lu's entire class thanks their teacher for teaching them all these years. The teacher wishes all of them good luck for their future. All the friends enjoy their last day together before heading to their respective colleges. A few months later, during vacation, Lu and Horn return home. Horn's grandfather had converted his old gambling den into a restaurant. Lu and Horn help him run it. Meanwhile, Lu's mother and grandfather discuss her future. Lu's grandfather liked Horn a lot, but her mother was still concerned about Lu. During this vacation, it becomes clear that Lu and Horn both like each other but haven't confessed yet. Horn finally gathers courage and directly goes to talk to Lu's mother. He tells her, "I like Lu." Her mother wasn't expecting this sudden confession, so she responds, "We know you are a good boy. We just want our daughter to be happy and for no problems to come into her life." Horn promises, "I will never let any problems come into her life. I will always keep Lu happy and protect her." Meanwhile, Lu had already told her mother that she had liked Horn for a long time. This made her mother very happy. Horn then decides to properly confess to Lu. He practices with show about what he is going to say to her. He then takes Lu on a trip to the seaside, planning to confess there. However, when they reach, he finds that Shinchan, Gogo, and Shaji were also there because Lu had already told them that she was going on a trip with Horn. Suba, being his usual curious self, also came along because he wanted to see how Horn would confess to Lu. Seeing all of them there, Horn's plan gets ruined. So, he signals to Suba. Suba, understanding his hint, distracts the others by giving them different tasks and sends them away. Season and the rest head to the nearby market to buy food. Suba took Gogo with him to find some girls, while Lu and Horn were left alone to walk on the beach. At that moment, Horn holds Lu's hand and finally confesses to her. Since Lu also liked him, they officially get into a relationship. Meanwhile, Shaji checks her diary and sees that she had given Sachin 100 points. She feels embarrassed, and when Sachin asks about it, she nervously replies, "I must have written it by mistake. You definitely don't deserve 100 points." Season laughs and says, "I won't disturb you now, but the day you feel I deserve it, don't forget your promise." Shaji, confused, asks, "What promise?" Season smirks and reminds her, "The person with 100 points will be your Mr. Perfect, right? He will be the one to whom you will confess your feelings." Shaji playfully replies, "We'll see when that time comes," and smiles before walking away. Season also smiles, watching her leave. Meanwhile, everyone gathers back at the beach and notices that Horn and Lu are now holding hands. Seeing this, everyone understands that they are now officially a couple and congratulates them. At the same time, things between Channel and Shaji also seem to be progressing. Everyone celebrates together, having lots of fun. And with this, the drama reaches a happy ending. How did you like this drama? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it. And if you're visiting the channel for the first time, make sure to subscribe. We'll meet again soon with another beautiful story. Until then, take care and bye-bye.